Disclaimer. I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Title: One Piece, Adopting Doflamingo. Chapter 61 Tea Chapter Meeting. Chapter 61 Tea Party. Preface: Great, Uncle Adri is coming again. Cake Island has been very lively recently. Charlotte's children from all over the world are rushing in one direction, and their boats are more or less loaded with gourmet food and food materials. Many people had happy smiles on their faces, and this part of the smile was for the arrival of someone, especially the older Charlotte members. Bree wandered happily in the mirror space, and there was another house belonging to him in the mirror space, and there was a cabinet in the house, which was full of things, all of which were carefully stored by Bree. The above are all gifts from Adrian to Boulay, and Boulay keeps them all, and now Boulay has grown into a beautiful woman, but she is still radiant in her 30s. The skin on the face is smooth and delicate, and the scars from the early years have also disappeared under the action of Adri's scar removal products. Originally, once, Boulay accidentally offended Big Mom, and her mother was going to suck Boulay's soul on the spot. All the brothers and sisters present had no choice, because no one could stop the angry mother. It just so happened that Adri rushed over that time, pushed open the door, and saw that the scene in front of him did not lose the piece of the past, just stepped forward indifferently and shouted, "Lingling!" The aunt paused for a moment, and looked at Adri with uneasy eyes. No matter how good Adri's relationship is, she couldn't stop her actions in public. After all, she is someone who can kill even her own children. Adri ignored the dangerous eyes of the aunt, but was a little helpless, comforting like looking at a child. "Lingling, that's not right. I brought your favorite puffs. Are you sure you don't want to try it?" The person behind Adri presented a large stack of puffs. The scent of the puffs immediately caught the aunt's interest. She let go of the paws that were holding onto Boulay, and stepped forward to grab the puffs. Said with a satisfied face, "Adri, your puffs are really delicious as always. Of course, if Lingling likes it, I'll go get some more." Adrian didn't run to help Bree, but motioned to other Charlotte members, and then talked and laughed happily with the Big Mom, who ate a lot. It was that time that Boulay was saved. According to the past, at least Boulay had to shorten her lifespan a lot, but she saved it that time, and even the aunt didn't come to her afterwards, and she treated her well. Everything can be explained that it was Adrian. Hands and feet were done in it. Many people are actually looking forward to Adri's arrival, not only because of Adri's love for them, but also because of the paternal love they lacked in growing up. The children who grew up in the Charlotte family were somewhat distorted in their hearts, but with Adrian, they appeared to be quite normal on the surface. Katakuri's big mouth, which had been hidden under the scarf all day long, had never been closed, and the smile on the corner of his mouth could not be concealed. Adri's arrival really made many people excited and happy. Parasparrow also stuck out his big tongue at this time, happily licking the lollipop, and came to Katakuri's side to tease. "You're smiling too happily, your mouth is almost exposed." Katakuri replied, "You're not bad, Nissan." Parasparrow got back to the point. "What do you think, Uncle Adri, this time? This tea party is very special. The King of Sea Transport, who has been absent from the Dark Forces for many years, will personally attend this grand tea party this time, which also attracts the attention of many people. To say that the most mysterious person among the Dark Forces is the King of Shipping himself, because this is a potential reason. Everyone only knows the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, the largest face of the King of Shipping, but many people know well that it cannot be such a bright side. Chamber of Commerce, but in fact, this outward appearance of the Chamber of Commerce is enough for him to securely claim the title of King of Shipping, and he was even ranked 8th among the top 10 most mysterious people. Although it is very mysterious, it is still necessary to discuss business with the outside world, but what is strange is that anyone who has seen the Sea Transport King has little effect on the memory of the Sea Transport King in the end, and will only remember it when they see him here. As for taking pictures, it is even more evil. Either the camera was forgotten to open the cover, or it was accidentally scrapped. Various problems made it rare for the photos of the King of the Sea to flow out. Parasparrow asked Katakuri this time because of these points. They were curious about why Uncle Adri would be willing to appear in public this time. Even the previous tea parties only participated in private tea parties within their family. Uncle Adri is confusing. Katakuri pondered for a while, then said, "Perhaps it's Uncle Adri who thinks it's almost time." Maybe, by the way, it's your turn to pick up Uncle Adri this time, right? Parasparrow said with a smile on his face, full of envy. Katakuri smiled lightly. Indeed, just give up, Parasparanasan, this time I have fought for a long time. Okay then, forget it. Parasparrow left with a trace of unwillingness. Katakuri looked at the hot sweet tea on the table and fell into deep thought. The day of the tea party has finally arrived. This time, the 17th daughter of Big Mom, Charlotte Milogy, is 21 years old. The marriage partner is a rising pirate star who has just joined the Ant the Banner, but these are secondary. The most important thing is to celebrate the development of Wandao this time. Ant has gathered most of the races. This is a happy thing. Ant naturally needs to celebrate. The wedding is just to add to the fun. Tea Party Day. Countless ships docked at the port of Cake Island. Many people who spoke in the world of darkness came here, and many influential forces came to congratulate them. If you want to say the big head this time, it is the Emperor of the Dark World. Them. And the most noticeable thing is the big ship with the flag of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. The boat docked, and because of its unique size, it also attracted many people. Everyone was waiting and waiting, expecting to be the first to see the legendary Sea King, and just as they expected, the Sea King appeared. Short black hair, black eyes, black feather coat swaying in the wind, black suit. The whole person is composed of different levels of black, coupled with the other party's indifferent eyes. It is enough to make anyone frightened. The other party got off the boat, and immediately followed by several personal guards wearing hats who couldn't see the faces clearly. They followed behind the Sea King silently. With his extremely young face, the Sea King greeted the exclamation of many girls, but the Sea King just made them shut up with just one look, and stared at the surroundings with emotionless eyes, which made people feel chills. A steady stream of people came down from the ship, holding large or small gifts in their hands, followed by a bunch of chefs holding dessert boxes, and the last one appeared was a huge treasure box that could only be lifted by 6 people in parallel. The Sea King seemed to have finally found his target, and walked towards a person, who waved his hand naturally. The tea party begins. End of this chapter. Chapter 62 Tea Chapter Meeting Broken 4 Favorites. Chapter 62 Sea Freight King, Welcome. The tall Katakuri stepped forward to greet him, and many people followed behind him. As the Ant's most important son, he is naturally known by many people. And Katakuri's words have confirmed that the man in black in front of them is the Sea King, and he is also surprised that the Ant let Katakuri come to greet him. Does it mean how much he values the Sea King? I saw that the man known as the Sea King seemed displeased. When everyone was guessing where Katakuri offended the Sea King looked up at Katakuri and said in an elder tone, "You've grown so tall that you don't even want to be called uncle?" Katakuri was stunned for a moment. In fact, in order to show respect, it was the first time as the Sea King after all. Katakuri naturally wanted to be more serious, but he didn't expect that Uncle Adri seemed not very satisfied. Knowing that Uncle Adri doesn't mind, Katakuri quickly changed his tune and shouted, "Uncle Adrian." Adri nodded with satisfaction, and then let Katakuri lead the way. Only a bunch of people who haven't figured out the truth are left behind, and their expressions at this time can be described as amazing. The King of the Sea seems to know Katakuri very well. Does that mean that the King of the Sea is also very familiar with Big Mom? Katakuri actually called the other party's uncle, taking it for granted. Everyone had too many doubts, and many younger brothers ran to tell their bosses about this explosive incident. And there was another Emperor of the Dark World present. Big Newsmorgans also took pictures to record this incident. This time, he sent dozens of cameramen, including himself, to film the King of the Sea. Heroic, I hope to make headlines. He believes that with the popularity of the Sea King and the other party's fairy-like appearance, the newspaper will definitely be snatched up. Morgans, who was thinking elatedly, immediately looked at the photos, but to his shock, they were blurred. Not only did he take the photos, but the photos taken by his subordinates were also messy. Before taking the photos, Morgans carefully selected the candidates and deliberately "Excuse me, I didn't expect it to be like this." Sure enough, evil. But it's okay, Morgans said he has left behind. He looked at the person behind him, who nodded confidently to Morgans and gave Morgans a thumbs up, and Morgans breathed a sigh of relief. The other party is a sketcher hired by Morgans at a high price. The other party has successfully drawn a sketch of the Sea King, so that's okay, and it can also be published in the newspaper. Along the way, Adri caused a lot of commotion, and the identity of the Sea King was considered prominent, and Adri's ruthless face was even more attractive. Katakuri, who was walking ahead, couldn't help teasing Adri. "Uncle Adri, you are very welcome." Fact. Katakuri was shocked by Adri's slapstick operation, and his uncle rarely joked with him, which was really scary. Adri came to the seat he should be doing, and the emperors of the dark world are all gathered: Intelligence Field, Morgan's Entertainment Fields, Stussy Currency Field, Field Killer Fields, Piccolo. Commodity Area, Kibson and now coming. Transportation Field, Adri. Mixed reactions to Adri's debut. Morgans kept whispering. Big news. Big news. Stussy smiled like a lady, took a sip of red wine, and winked at Adri. Feld grinned, smoking a cigar, and didn't pay attention to this seemingly junior guy. Piccolo caressed his sharp weapon, grinning, looking like a neuropathy, exuding a strong breath of death all over his body, but he saw something even more terrifying in Adri. Kibson was the only one with a bad face, and he taunted, "It's so late, let us wait for you as a junior, what are you?" The other 4 people did not speak. They were all silently preparing to watch the show, looking forward to seeing how Adri would fight back. Adri turned his head and looked at Kyberson with an evil look. "Oh? You actually asked me, I'm not a junior, don't forget, when was I called the King of the Sea? In terms of seniority, you should call me a senior." Adri's playful words also reminded the people present that the young man in front of them was not a good person, and the other party was definitely not as simple as it seemed on the surface. The title of King of Sea Transport appeared more than 10 years ago, and he was also one of the earlier members present, but in the past, the meetings between their emperors were not held by themselves. At this time, Kibson also realized his recklessness. He blindly wanted to ridicule the other party, but forgot that the other party was not as simple as it seemed. The black pupils made his scalp numb and covered in cold sweat. It is not without reason that Kibson picked Adrian for surgery. There is no way, whoever said that Adri was able to win the title of Shipping King even though he opened the Chamber of Commerce, and the goods such as the Chamber of Commerce are within the jurisdiction of his old warehousing store G. Bosun. Adri's power has threatened his status. However, if someone takes the title of 2 kings together, other people will never allow it, but the danger of getting rid of him and annexing them together is not ruled out, although in previous meetings, Kibson proposed to let the Shipping King give up the commodity category and switch to full shipping, but he was rejected. At this moment, Stussy came out to smooth things over. "Okay, everyone is the overlord of one side, let's sit together and don't forget what we are here for." Stussy moved out of Big Mom in an attempt to suppress the confrontation between the two. Obviously, the news of Stussy was not circulated yet, and he didn't know that Katakuri called the Sea King as his uncle. Several emperors of the Dark World gathered together, but they had different thoughts in their hearts. The ant hadn't appeared at this time, and the few of them could only gather together. Feld, puffing on his cigar, raised the subject, but it was obvious and pointed. "I heard that the Hunters Guild has been making a fuss recently. It is said that your share is about to be replaced, Piccolo." Piccolo's originally smiling face suddenly became sloppy, and then raised it even higher, laughing loudly, and replied. "Don't worry about it, Feld, I heard that your place is not stable." Both of them were exposing each other's old background at this time, but they didn't say much. Feld made a cut and was speechless. Piccolo did not pursue either. Because both of them knew that there was another big news, that Morgans was still here, and it was meaningless for them to argue here. But Piccolo's troubles were really that nasty Hunters Guild. The Hunters Guild has robbed his business more than once, and many killers have even jumped to the Hunters' side. But many people here know one thing, that is, the conflict between the two parties a few years ago. At that time, the Hunter Guild was at the top of the list, the first 3 in the legend, and of 3 people they called that Lord appeared. Piccolo also dispatched many top killers. No one knew the outcome of that battle, only that after that, Piccolo never mentioned it again. But it was confirmed that the other party suffered a great loss, and coupled with the recent activity of the Hunters Guild, Piccolo was already a little angered. Feld's side is not good, but it's not as miserable as Piccolo's side. After all, they are all Dark Emperors for some years. Feld's opponents are just some new stars. I don't know about those scattered guys. What kind of wind is blowing? Hugging a group to keep warm. Obviously I don't go too much on weekdays. Boom. Boom. Loud footsteps sounded, and these emperors in the dark world stood up unconsciously. End of this chapter. Chapter 63 Adri and Ab, hashtag 039, S Big News. Chapter 63 Adri's Big News. Lingling's relatively large body takes the main seat. Everyone greeted each other and gave their presents. After a while, a pile of treasure chests piled up. Stussy greeted Big Mom. Lingling, long time no see. Yeah, long time no see, Stussy. The aunt's attention shifted to Adri, who was still drinking tea. After all, he is the only one who was still sitting like Big Mom, which is extremely challenging for Big Mom, but surprisingly, Big Mom didn't care about this, but greeted eagerly. Adri, you're here. Adri looked at the aunt and said hello calmly. Yo, Lingling. Just such a short sentence has already shocked many people around. The title Lingling can only be called by the aunt's good girlfriends like Stussy, but Adri called it so naturally that even the aunt didn't have a seizure. Stussy's face is also a bit strange now. He doesn't even know any information that Big Mom and Sea King want to know. Hey, Adri, what about your gift? Even if it's you, it's impossible not to give a gift. Big Mom smiled. Adri clapped his hands naturally. Then, a treasure chest carried by 6 people appeared. Compared with many treasure chests, the other treasure chests seemed much smaller and shabby. Lingling simply took the box and held it in her hand. Duanxiong, she couldn't help but marvel. Adri, you are so extravagant, you actually use atom wood to make a treasure chest. What, atom? Auntie's words aroused the amazement of many people. But it soon subsided. The aunt put the treasure box sent by Adri with other treasure boxes and waited to open it at the end of the banquet. Morning after a day. Countless paper delivery birds flew away to start their day's work. Aboard the Flamingo. Doflamingo stood at the bow of the boat, stopped a newspaper delivery bird, and handed it a 50 Bailey. The delivery bird took the money skillfully, took a newspaper from a small pouch on his body, and gave it to him. Killed Doflamingo, then flew away. Doflamingo came to his room with the newspaper and made a cup of coffee. He just drank the first sip of coffee and opened the newspaper. The photo on the front page made Doflamingo unable to bear it. After repeated confirmation, Doflamingo couldn't help but burst out laughing, ignoring his own coffee spraying out of his mouth. He laughed so loudly that even attracted other members and cadres. When they saw the newspaper, they couldn't help but glance at it. My young master didn't know whether to laugh or not, mainly because he didn't dare. At the castle. Adrian hasn't come home yet. Rosindi enjoys the good morning. He also made a cup of coffee and was about to read the newspaper. He also just took a sip of coffee and opened the newspaper. Glancing at the newspaper, the whole person seemed to have lost his mind, and the coffee left his mouth. Luo Shindi, who had just entered the door, was startled when he saw this scene, and hurried forward to check, only to see Luo Shindi waved his hand, indicating that nothing was wrong, then pointed to the newspaper on the table, suppressed a smile, and forced the corners of his stubborn mouth pushed down. Luo opened the newspaper in doubt, and couldn't help but Poochie let out a laugh, and then hurriedly covered his mouth. Robin, who was having morning tea, also saw the newspaper, was a little surprised, and then smiled lightly. Far away in the Navy headquarters, Sengoku and Garp, who became marshals, were eating senbei in the office. Then, Crane walked in and handed over a newspaper. The two opened it curiously. Once they opened it, they read the text carefully and immediately laughing loudly. The senbei didn't have time to finish, because the stomach hurt so much, it fell to the ground. A certain shipping king who was on the ship was still enjoying it leisurely. The number 1 on the side handed over a newspaper. He bowed respectfully and did not dare to move. He had already read today's newspaper, and he didn't know what his lord would do. Think. Adri opened the newspaper indifferently, and was indeed attracted by a picture. Adri was taken aback for a moment, and even he couldn't help chuckling. Seeing the reaction of his own adults, no. Knelt down in fright, and hurriedly added, need to give that person. No. Made a movement of wiping his neck, as if he would immediately go to take the head off the neck as soon as Adri gave an order. Adri waved his hand casually, asking Number, who had always been nervous, to step aside first. Adri opened the newspaper again and read it. Although he had expected it to be published in the newspaper, it still exceeded his expectations. How should I put it? The main reason is that the accompanying pictures are really hard to describe. As one of the underground emperors, this is within the tolerance range. After all, this is not slander. Besides, it is very normal to read the text carefully. He even advertised for Adri's Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. It seems that Morgans also knows that he is a little sorry. Delhi voluntarily added free advertising. As an underground emperor, Adri naturally wouldn't be so shameless. Adri turned on the phone and looked at the message. It seems that many people in my family have seen the pictures. Even Sengoku calls bugs hello? Adri, ha, your photo is too funny, ha 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 ha. Yeah, I don't know what to think. Garp's voice also came from Sengoku. He was watching two old men laughing at someone together. He felt ashamed like a child, especially since this is the office of the Admiral of the Navy. If others knew that his admiral was like a kid, he absolutely pretend not to know them. But Zhang Guo also knew how to measure, so he stopped very quickly. After a few serious talks, Adri hung up the phone. Zhang Guo felt a little wronged and felt that it was all Carp's fault. At this time, Doflamingo also called. What's the matter, Dover? Doflamingo's obscene voice came from the other end of the phone. Pfufferfer, Adri, don't know, have you read today's news? Adrian responded lightly. Ah. Adri tried his best to resist the urge to beat up his son, but he couldn't help it. He really didn't understand why his handsome boy started to feel a little obscene, and even dared to mock his father. A bit too much. Really, the news writer wasn't killed by no? Doflamingo is still very clear about some things. For example, the cleaning of the garbage will be done by number 1. Adri replied. It's harmless, the other party is at the same level as me in a sense, and he still knows a little bit of propriety. Yeah, but I have to say, your pictures are very photogenic. Should I praise you? If you have something serious to say, I don't believe you will come to me for this matter. Of course, Adri, I got a good item from the auction house recently. Do you want to come? It seems quite important. What do you need me to do? You just need. Okay, I see. Adri nodded. Then, hung up the phone. Thinking of his own son's auction house, Adri felt a little tired. Why do you want to start your own business when you can be the second generation of rich people? If he had his father's name, Doflamingo would actually be a lot easier. But it was obvious that Doflamingo would not have so many, and even asked for some messy things. Adri sighed slightly, and called no. No. Bowed first, and then waited for Adri's order. Go to Morgan's place. An Adriatic also threw the newspaper at him like a piece of garbage, and the newspaper fell on the sea, with a few large characters written on it. The King of Sea Freight appears. Adri's illustration, no, photo, no, it's the sketch next to the text. Adrian above the sketch, end of this chapter. Chapter 64 The Auction of the Don Quixote Family. Chapter 64 The Auction of the Don Quixote Family, Preface. World Economic News Headquarters. It's not good. Something is wrong, Lord Morgans. Morgans, who has always maintained his devil fruit ability, is an albatross fruit capable person, like a big bird wearing a red feathered hat. He is drinking tea in a formal dress. It is not easy to just come back from Big Mom, not to mention writing an article. He was very dissatisfied with his adjutant, so blind. What's the matter? What's the matter in such a hurry? The adjutant was a little out of breath, and hurriedly reported the information to Morgans. My lord, it's not good, the ship of the Sea King is approaching us. That's it, the King of the Sea. What? The King of the Sea. The King of the Sea? Morgans slammed the table and shouted. Why didn't you tell me sooner, you bastard? The adjutant was obedient and did not dare to speak. Morgans got up immediately and walked outside. He also calmed down along the way. Everyone is an adult, and the King of Sea Transport will not be upset by that painting. Besides, Morgans sent this out to make friends. Besides, the painting is not ugly, but it is a little bit. It's just a bit exaggerated, exaggeratedly handsome, a proper Mary Sue perspective. Morgans had already spoken to the sketcher afterward, but the other party said that he just drew what he saw. In this regard, Morgans was speechless. Morgans had no choice but to send someone to meet the Sea King first. Forget it, Morgans planned to go in person. How could the two be equal in status? When Adri got off the port, it was Morgans who came. The two greeted each other briefly, and then went to the reception room. Morgans said that he has been feeling cold. It shouldn't be Adri's reason, right? There is no way. Adri has no expression on his face, just like a big ice cube. As soon as he sat down, before Morgans asked, Adri spoke first. I read your report. The opening of his mouth made Morgans break out in a cold sweat. Just when Morgans was about to say something, Adri spoke again. I appreciate your kindness. No, nothing. Morgans breathed a sigh of relief, took out a handkerchief and gracefully wiped the sweat on his forehead. But Morgans didn't believe that Adri came here just to say such a sentence, and naturally he had his real purpose. Morgans ordered people to prepare black tea, and then asked. Then, Sea King, may I ask, why are you here this time? Morgans regained his composure in the past. Since Sea King did not pursue the report, it means nothing happened, but there can be many purposes for coming. Adri took the black tea handed over by others, took a sip and replied. I came to you this time because I was entrusted by someone. Oh? Really? I don't know you who are like the King of Sea, who can please you. Morgans was full of curiosity, and his tone rose a little. The Don Quixote family, have you heard of it? Morgans groped his chin, as if he remembered something. The Don Quixote family? Come to think of it, it's the group of pirates from the North Sea. Their young master is a man named Doflamingo, and he has a lot of underground businesses, especially the auction house. What? Could it be he begged you? How could he command you, Sea King? Morgan's words are very interesting, and they all contain information, as a reporter's professionalism. I owe that Doflamingo a favor. Adri, nonsense. They are going to hold an auction recently, and I think there are some things that you will be interested in. Really, I am just a reporter after all. Morgans declined Adri's invitation. But Adri didn't care, just continued, I think there will be news about the auction. You may be interested. As a reporter, I don't think you will miss the big news. I just need you to show your face and go, maybe you will gain something. At this time, Morgan's expression has become excited. Of course, he understands what Adri is talking about. Adri means that there will be a mess in this auction, which makes Morgan subconsciously forget to ask why the Sea King owes Dofran brother Ming's favor. Morgans pretended to think about it, and nodded in agreement. I saw Adri's whispering a word, which made Morgans explode instantly. Big news, Morgans can't wait to write an article immediately and make a lot of money, Morgans confirms. Is the news true? True. Great news. Adri accepted the result with satisfaction, and then left. Soon, Adri used the unique contact method of the Emperors of the Dark World to contact them one by one. Why go to Morgans alone? 1. It's Morgans who's close. 2. It's Adri's bad taste. 3. If you need to report, it is better to do it in person. Adri took the lead in getting through Stuttgart's connection. The person on the other side was a little surprised, but after understanding the purpose of coming, he readily agreed. Because Stussy did receive invitations, but he was not planning to go, because the current Doflamingo was not strong yet. But the rhetoric of the King of Sea Freight is different. Not only can he make friends with the King of Sea Freight, but it also shows that there are indeed good things in this auction. Adri followed the same pattern and got through all the phone calls of all the emperors, explained everything, and said a word, it doesn't matter whether the other party comes or not. After all, Adri, who is also an emperor, said so give face, everyone is not very good looking, look up and see down. This is exactly what Doflamingo asked him to invite all the emperors of the Dark World to pave the way for him to embark on this road. Doflamingo's plan is good, but it needs status and rights to invite these people, so this is not a good thing. Doflamingo also understands the importance of this aspect, and it is precisely because of this, just found Adri. For his son's slightly rude request, Adri naturally agreed, which was more frank than Doflamingo imagined. But in Adri's view, it is very rare for his son to ask him after all. And the protagonist of this auction, even Adrian, was a little interested, which made Morgans very excited. That is Superman Devil Fruit. Golden Fruit. Golden Fruit. As long as you have countless wealth, gold, and control, once someone owns it, it is an act of getting rich. This kind of fruit will make everyone crazy. Regardless of whether the opponent is a pirate, navy, or other people, they will flock to them. As long as you own it, you will have all the unmined gold in the world. Therefore, once Morgans releases the news, countless people will go there, and the Navy will definitely not sit still. It is not easy for the Navy to snatch it away under the watchful eyes of everyone. Then, the world will also be crazy about it, and it will definitely change a lot of patterns. Ask for everything. End of this chapter. Chapter 65: The Auction of the Don Quixote Family. Chapter 65: The Auction of the Don Quixote Family, beginning. Dover, you are really careless, this can be robbed. Fufurfur, Adri, thank you very much this time. I didn't expect this little guy to be able to do this. Doflamingo sat on the sofa, looked at the devil fruit in his hand, and his face looked a lot better. Adri, who was sitting opposite, was still drinking coffee calmly. Beside him lay a half-dead man, still dying. Adrian couldn't help but sighed. What's the matter, Adrian, you rarely sigh? Doflamingo asked. He thought it was because of this incident that Adri was a little disappointed. Indeed, if it wasn't for Adri, then this auction would have been ruined, and Adri has already invited many people from the dark world. Giant. For this, Doflamingo also blamed himself a little. He glanced fiercely at the principal culprit lying at Adri's feet, ready to discourage him. But stopped by Adri, who smiled and said, thinking about the little brat in the past, it feels like time flies when you become the big guy now. You can even set foot in the dark world. I am very optimistic about you. Yes. Doflamingo's face also softened a lot, and even he couldn't help feeling that it was indeed a long time, and the time passed much faster than he imagined. Adri glanced at the people on the ground and asked, "What are you going to do with this kid?" Doflamingo's smile went wild, and he said that this principal criminal can't be easily let go. Tell me, how about that one? Well, I don't agree with that. Then what do you think, anyway? You caught the man. I'm still useful to all these people, especially the main criminal. I'm of great use to help him recover his health immediately. Doflamingo stretched his waist and didn't refute Adri's words. Adri had his plan and he didn't participate, just like Adri didn't interfere with his plan. Doflamingo then walked away, because there was going to be an auction the day after tomorrow, and this incident happened again. Doflamingo was getting angry now, and he asked someone to deal with the little guy who stole his auction item. The thief immediately went to work again. Seeing Doflamingo's busy figure, Adri showed a gratified expression. The first important step of my eldest son's entrepreneurial journey, but no one can disturb him. Then Adri whispered a few words to number one behind him. One then left. Adri also returned to the hotel. The next day, because of Adri's order, the principal criminal had regained his consciousness. Doflamingo heard the news and came to the place where the principal criminal was being held. Now, he also got the other party's information. Gilder de Solo, 29 years old. Formerly a slave of the Draco, escaped during the slave emancipation incident that year. This time I gathered a few partners and came to grab it. I don't know if it was just luck, but I succeeded. Once it is taken away from him, it will be very difficult for Doflamingo to do anything, or even get it back. So this time, de Solo was really angry with Doflamingo. If it weren't for Adri, Doflamingo would have suffered a lot this time. Doflamingo came to the cage where Desora was held and turned away the people on the side. He wanted to talk to the thief alone. De Solo, who regained his sanity, was surprised at how quickly he recovered from his injuries, and then found that he was not dead and was still locked in a cage. De Solo knew that he could not escape death, but the opponent's operation was very confusing. Before De Solo lost consciousness, he only heard a low voice saying, "That's not allowed." De Solo then fell unconscious. Now De Solo looked at the man who was about his own age in a feather coat in front of him, and his heart was not fear, but resentment. Why are they so different at similar ages? Money, it must be money again. Doflamingo watched as De Solo's face became more and more ferocious, but the corners of Doflamingo's mouth became more and more raised. Then, Doflamingo grabbed De Solo's throat violently, leaned forward, and fiercely looked right, with a warning. Fufurfur, little thief, you really almost ruined my good business. Not only did you almost ruin my auction, you also made my father work hard. De Solo couldn't speak, he felt like he was out of breath. Looking at the opponent who was struggling constantly, Doflamingo was satisfied and picked him up and threw him heavily to the corner. De Solo, who fell on the iron cage, was in pain, and looked at Doflamingo with resentment on his face. Ahem, you just have money to rely on. As long as I have money, I will never be worse than you. A big man like you can't understand my feelings at all. If you have the feeling, you will kill me, anyway, you will die sooner or later. Doflamingo was silent, looking at the other side dangerously. What he hated most was that someone was discussing this point there. Everyone is comparing their misery, telling themselves that they are the most miserable person in the world, but in fact, the more miserable person has not even made a sound. But Doflamingo felt fortunate that he was not miserable. He met his father, who freed him from his nightmare childhood, and it was his father who helped him unconditionally. This time is also the father, so this auction must be a success. The name of the auction house of the Don Quixote family has been announced. In this way, Doflamingo will feel that he has lived up to his father's expectations. Although Adri did not ask for it, it was Doflamingo's own thinking. His father is very tolerant, and he is too tolerant towards his children, even brothers. In his eyes, Remnant is just a child's play. Anyway, he can't die, he thinks it's just a simple family conflict. Even so, Doflamingo acts with high demands. Fufurfur. Fufurfur. Your idea is really good, you can buy everything if you have money? You are a bit inaccurate. However, you can't die for the time being, so I kind of understand why my father wanted to save your life. Doflamingo closed the cage and walked out leisurely. He seems to be in a much better mood now. Thinking of his father again, Doflamingo couldn't help thinking. Perhaps, Adri was thinking about the issue of money, and he left the Navy at the beginning. Perhaps it was because he saw the essence of the world clearly that he switched to a businessman. There are many things that rely on money: power, wine, beauties, soldiers, men. Doflamingo also feels that he needs to reflect, and occasionally he seems to need setbacks. Perhaps this is the meaning of Adri letting Doflamingo decide everything by himself. After all, his goal is to focus on a dark emperor like Adri. Before that, although he could use Adri's power, it was not absolute, so he could hardly get any experience, and there was no absolute enemy, only permanent benefits. Perhaps, if there is no Adri, and Doflamingo has nothing to do with De Solo, he will find the other party to cooperate. When someone talks, treat it as a chat. End of this chapter. Chapter 66: The Auction of the Don Quixote Family. Chapter 66: The Auction of the Don Quixote Family, Revelation. Auction held as scheduled. With the spread of the big newsmorgans, not only the emperors of the dark world came. The Navy is here too. But the strange thing is that the world government did not allow the Navy to take it violently, but approved funds for them to buy it back. There were also many big pirates among the guests. At first they saw the Navy, they were still very vigilant, and many Navy were also ready to attack at any time, and the two sides suddenly became tense. Even the faces of those dark emperors are not very good looking. Adrian winked behind him. No. Stepped forward to stop it, saying, "This is an auction. There are regulations. In the auction house, fighting is not allowed until the auction is over. Please give our adults a face." No. Looked at the person leading the Navy team. That person was none other than General Nova, Kizaru, and fortunately it was Kazuru. It might be possible to replace it with another Akainu. Huang Yuan glanced at Adri, who was standing aside, and said with pretended fear in his eyes, "Yo, it's so scary I naturally have to give the Sea King the face. Marshal Warring States often mentions you." "Really, Palliasolino, that old bastard in the Warring States period dared to mention me." Huang Yuan was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't expect Adri to dare to say that, so he could only order the people he brought, and then enter the venue. But everyone else was thoughtful. Especially those dark emperors. In their eyes, Adrian No's actions were very subtle, and they were all thoughtful. First of all, Adri had come to them because he owed Don Quixote Doflamingo a favor. Coupled with the usual indifference, the Sea King, who seemed to have nothing to do with him, was willing to make a move. It can be seen that this favor is very huge, and they are very curious about what it is that can reach this point. Second, what Huang Yuan said. The Warring States period mentioned the King of Sea Transport, and the tone of the King of Sea Transport had something to do with the Admiral of the Navy. Morgans was already groping his chin, and the others were also curious, but none of them stepped forward. They all understood that this was not a good thing for the emperors of the Dark World. In addition, the King of Sea Transport had already looked at them with his indifferent and inappropriate eyes, which made the big-handed undertaker among them shudder. Several people then entered the venue, and those with invitation letters all had boxes, which was also a symbol of power and status. And Adri, as the shipping king, naturally has a box. Now, he is sitting in the same box with the host, his son, Doflamingo. The boxes are all made of special glass. The outside can be seen from the inside, but the outside can only be used as a mirror. Doflamingo crossed his legs and sat arrogantly opposite Adri. If others saw this scene, they would think that Doflamingo was so awesome that he dared to face the Sea King like this, but in fact, what can I do with my own father? It's just how comfortable I am. Don't you see that his father is also crossing his legs? Adri held the red wine in his hand and watched the entire auction venue condescendingly. He wasn't interested at all. He glanced at it, stopped paying attention, and asked Doflamingo, "What are you going to do with that fruit?" The golden fruit will never be given to anyone. It is actually just a thing to attract popularity, but all the elders present here, Adri was afraid that Doflamingo might not be able to handle it. I have arranged for someone to buy it, and when the time comes, I will directly hold the fake fruit to attract people's attention. Adri thought for a while, and felt that it was wrong. All parties here would definitely fight for it, but if he got a fake one and was found out, Doflamingo's reputation would be damaged, and it was inevitable that someone would settle accounts with him. Dover, no, there must be someone who can eat him. I know, Adri, do you have the right people there? No, you know what you said there. Yeah. Both Adri and Doflamingo are the same. The only people they can trust are their family members, but unfortunately, their family members are all capable people. Doflamingo thread fruit. Rossindi silent fruit robin flower fruit of surgery. As for Adri, Doflamingo thinks that Adri is so strong that he must also be a devil fruit capable person. Doflamingo's family members are not easy to control. Although they are family members, there are still some differences. The most taboo thing is that one's own people are stronger than oneself and uncontrollable. Do you know why I keep that little thief? Because he can snatch your things. Do you think he will be a simple person? Do you want to call? Of course. But I know, but the best solution today is this. No matter who gets the fruit today, it will cause unnecessary confusion. With me here, I can grab it, and then feed the fruit to that person, as long as we can control it. That's fine, you only need to let people know that you are chasing and killing the other party in secret, and then you have to change it to cooperation, and no one will know. Doflamingo hesitated, not sure. Then what if the other party doesn't cooperate? Whether you deserve to cooperate or not, I have a solution. Don't worry, as long as people know that the last fruit is eaten by an unknown person, we only need one result. Doflamingo also figured it out. Fufurfur. Adri, you really have it. That's right, we really only need one result, as long as that thing is in our hands. In fact, Adri doesn't need to do anything, because the Hunters Guild was also invited by Doflamingo. As long as the Hunter Guild makes trouble, there is nothing to say. Finally, came the last item. Superman is a devil fruit, a golden fruit. As long as you own it, you have countless treasures. What are you waiting for? The starting price is million Baileys, and each edition must not be less than million. Let the auction begin. A group of pirates were the first to bid 200 million. Lone Usurer Feld also bid 300 million. Huang Yuan also returned slowly 400 million. It was obvious that many people were lowering the price. This situation was not what Doflamingo wanted to see. He picked up the phone and ordered, and soon the price in the venue soared to 15 billion. But this is no longer affordable for ordinary people. Huang Yuan also let go. I hope that those present will not feel sorry for the Navy or the world government. We will not embarrass everyone here. The reason why Huang Yuan dared to say this was mainly because none of the people present were sent by the four emperors, because the news was relatively tight, and the other party had no time to respond. What Huang Yuan said caused a lot of people's resentment, but none of the people here could beat him. And because of this, some people put out their desire to buy it. Since no one bids, 15 billion once. 18 billion. Everyone turned their heads one after another, only to see that it was from a box, and in the box was a person wearing an O mask, and the other party's hoarse voice shouted. Huang Yuan turned his head and squinted at the other party. On the opponent's uniform, there was an obvious logo, the Bounty Hunters Guild. A bunch of guys who want their money or their lives. End of this chapter. Chapter 67 The Battle of Scramble. Chapter 67 The Battle of Scramble, Goggin, because the Lord is happy. Huang Yuan glanced lewdly at the man wearing the four-character mask, and added in a bad tone. 19 billion. At this glance, number 4 couldn't help but feel numb secretly. In a sense, the Navy really has nothing to do with the Bounty Hunters Guild, because it is the guild that makes the pressure on the Navy a lot easier. In other words, the Bounty Hunters Guild has reached a certain agreement with the Navy. As a high-level yellow ape, he naturally knew something. But there is no way the Bounty Hunters Guild is a profit-seeking group. Just under the price increase of the Bounty Hunters Guild, it soared all the way to 25 billion. Huang Yuan's face was a bit grim, because the time was urgent, and the superiors only gave 30 billion Baileys, because once this fruit was won, the value brought would not be something Bailey could compete with. Adri also secretly gestured at this time. The price increase of the Bounty Hunters Guild ended here, which also made the yellow monkey heaved a sigh of relief. And 25 billion Baileys is already beyond Doflamingo's imagination. Don't look at the surgical fruits sold for 50 billion. Other devil fruits will not exceed hundreds of millions of Baileys at most. It has never been so exaggerated, let alone this fruit. And Adri's idea is just to give his son a little more pocket money. Everything went smoothly, but most people's eyes were focused on the yellow apes and the Navy. The auction will stipulate that fighting is not allowed in the auction, so once they leave the auction house, it may not be so. Even if Huang Yuan is powerful, it can't stop the ambition and greed of some people, and there will be some people who try to pick up the wrong, and there are not a few people who think highly of themselves. Huang Yuan didn't pay much attention to it. In fact, he didn't bother, as long as he turned into the speed of light as soon as he went out. Wouldn't that be fine? Well, what Kazuru wants to get, others will not be able to think of a countermeasure. Then, is Kazuru planning to sacrifice the remaining Navy? Therefore, there are plenty of ways. Now many people have turned into hungry wolves, ready to rush forward and bite their prey at any time. Huang Yuan also realized the problem, but he didn't feel any uneasiness. As long as those guys in the dark world don't participate, there will be no problem. But although the emperors did not participate, Huang Yuan forgot that it was the Bounty Hunters Guild who had bid with him before. As the yellow monkey was about to go out, Adri also left, and Doflamingo also smiled and arranged things. Sure enough, as soon as Huang Yuan went out, he was the first to meet No, who was waiting for him at the door. Those who are familiar with the Bounty Hunter Guild system will know that this person ranks 4th among killers. Don't think that my 4th is not as good as 1, 2, and 3, at least in terms of strength, they are all very strong. Especially No is resident in the Bounty Hunters Guild to handle things, so Noah's reputation in the Bounty Hunters Guild can be said to be extremely strong, and he is famous for his decisive killing. At this moment, number 4's padlock sickle, with the appearance of the yellow monkey, number 4 began to turn the lock sickle slowly, and then turned faster and faster, which directly caused the strong wind to hit the yellow monkey. At this moment, Huang Yuan also lost the indecency of teasing the other party in the past. He looked at the person in front of him with a gloomy expression. He could feel that the other party's lock sickle was actually made of heilushi. As a capable person, he was beaten to the ground. Would be extremely dangerous. The navy behind Huang Yuan is also ready to go, waiting for Huang Yuan's order to fight immediately. Huang Yuan first handed the box containing the golden fruit to the adjutant, and said, "I don't know if the Bounty Hunters Guild is going against our navy." Huang Yuan's words attracted the attention of many people. Some people's eyes are cold, some people's expressions are normal, and some people's eyes are full of fanaticism. Huang Yuan still has a little fantasy. After all, escorting the golden fruit is the most important thing, and the current Huang Yuan is far from reaching his peak 10 years later. But Noah's opening can be regarded as completely cutting off Huang Yuan's thoughts. We are here for the bounty mission. Someone will send a mission to stop you. This would be bad, Huang Yuan thought to himself. If it was just the actions of No, then Huang Yuan could still rely on the navy behind him, but if the mission is extremely bad, the focus of the mission is just to prevent it. It seems that some people don't want a good luck to the navy. This task is not clear now. It would be fine if only one person can receive the task, but what if it is a multi-person task? Hundreds of thousands of people can be allowed to participate. As long as they are blocked, the rewards will be distributed according to the degree, and many people will rush to come. At that time, the yellow monkey will not be able to handle it by itself, so the safety of the golden fruit cannot be guaranteed. But now Huang Yuan's first task is to fight against the menacing person in front of him. Number 4 was spinning the hammer rapidly, and the sickle at the other end was in his hand. The snow-white sharp blade had scratched countless people's necks and made them drip with blood, but now he was white and clean, and looked extremely sharp in the sun. Number 4 threw the hammer first, and the heavy hammer quickly hit the yellow monkey, but it was useless after all. No matter how fast it was still faster than the speed of light. Of course, this was just a trial, and afterward, No immediately retracted the hammer and continued to spin. The lock sickle is suitable for far and near intersections. Number 4 then dodges closer to the beam of light and throws the scythe in an arc towards the opponent. Top wave backstab. Huang Yuansong hurriedly avoided the arc of the attack, but the arc surrounded his back, and the arc suddenly narrowed as No retracted the chain, and the sharp blade suddenly slashed towards Huang Yuan's back. Huang Yuan immediately escaped elementally, keeping a safe distance from No. Compared with long distance, he is worthy. The 8 Tatar mirrors. I saw a piece of mirror-like light accumulated in Huang Yuan's hand, and then shot out a beam of light that refracted and bounced around, and finally attacked No. From all angles. No dodged hastily and kept using sickles and hammers to disperse the attacks, but however, the attacks of the yellow ape were too dense, and it was a bit embarrassing for a while. No hastily spun the barbed hammer, like a barrier temporarily covering himself against the attack of the orangutan, and the fast-spinning hammer would turn into blood if any object entered it. Number 4 turned forward and rushed forward immediately, closing the distance. When Kizaru saw something bad, he immediately wrapped his arms with weapons and resisted the opponent's attack. Then he was about to distance himself again. No followed closely behind, waving the sickle in his left hand and slashed at Kizaru. He was about to do it before he saw it. After slashing, Kizaru elementalized again and moved away from the battlefield. Number followed closely behind, spinning the hammer constantly. The length of the sickle's attack can be controlled by controlling the length of the chain, which makes Kizaru miserable and can only dodge. The two fought further and further away, leaving the remaining navy to protect the golden fruit. Fortunately, those present did not act rashly. But just when the navy breathed a sigh of relief, they realized that they were thinking too well. At this moment, dozens of people dressed in black appeared, and stepped forward to attack without saying a word. The yellow ape in the distance noticed it, and then realized the previous number 4 was about us and you. Huang Yuan quickly got away. Tian Song Cloud Sword. Huang Yuan condensed the photons in his hands, forming a sword of light, taking advantage of the enemy's unpreparedness. It was a slash, temporarily cutting number 4 far away. Then he immediately went back to the other navy's Bachi Qianguyu. The photon flew into the air and fired countless dazzling light bullets at the group of targets. The attack power was extremely strong. Although it was a large-scale attack, the person who came to accept the task was no one. Most of them dodged, but all suffered minor injuries. At this moment, No has also stood up from the ruins, and under the smoke, No paced to the front of Huang Yuan. Blade cart. The sharp sickle revolved rapidly around number 4, heading towards the reunion. Huang Yuan controlled the distance and backed away, but saw that the sickle just reached the furthest attack range, and the difference between Huang Yuan's body was only a few centimeters. Huang Yuan was rejoicing when he saw No suddenly raised his head, and Huang Yuan seemed to feel the other party's smile. Feeling bad, I saw No let go of his hand resolutely, letting the weapon fly out, but at this moment, the yellow monkey couldn't dodge it. Wow! At this moment, a long wound suddenly appeared on Huang Yuan's body, and blood was dripping. Generally yellow ape. The navy on the side was worried, but the yellow monkey gasped and signaled that it was all right, telling them not to come over. Huang Yuan kicked Noah's sickle away violently with his foot, making it impossible for him to fight again. Except for the huge wound on the chest, the other parts of the yellow ape are not feeling well. Who would have thought that No would use this to hurt 1,000 enemies and 800 injuries to himself? At this moment, the group of bounty hunters also took action, and quickly became one with the navy, and many other ambitious people also quickly joined the melee. Noah's right hand was badly wounded, and there were many wounds on his body from the light speed attack of the yellow ape. The clothes on Huang Yuan's body were also cut several times by the scythe, and he looked very tattered. Huang Yuan simply checked the injury and watched the opponent's every move. The opponent has no weapons. It can be said that the combat power has been greatly weakened, and the opponent is no better than himself. No ignored his wound, just picked up a sword from anywhere, and held it with the only hand that was still in good condition. The melee in the navy has intensified, and at this moment a voice suddenly sounded, "General Huang Yuan, it's bad, the box is gone." Suddenly, everyone's fighting stopped suddenly. Huang Yuan wanted to get up but was stopped by No. "Do you think you can resist it, you who have lost your weapon?" Number 4 said very calmly. "Just 3 minutes, that's all." 3 minutes, you are so arrogant, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? On the other side, everyone is looking for the person holding the golden fruit box. After constant grinding and fighting, the box finally disappeared. In a deserted place. Feld carefully held the box, looking around for anyone. "Haha, the box is mine, the golden fruit is mine." Feld was about to open the box when a figure appeared on both sides of the long and narrow corridor. Feld's heart tightened, and he put the box away as if nothing had happened. What appeared was a middle-aged man, who was in low spirits. Feld ignored it, and only hoped that the other party would get out of here quickly and not bother him. Because the current Feld has not let go of his guard, as long as he does not return to his stronghold, he will not be relieved. He is careful and vigilant against the other party. We're about to sign a contract. Kason, get high. End of this chapter. Chapter 68. Do you want to see her? Chapter 68. Do you want to see her? Who will win the golden fruit? Is a mature man. Very strange. With nothing left, he didn't eat the fruit immediately. He was hesitating. The other side, Adri and Doflamingo are talking secretly in a room. "Adri, are you sure? Don't make big losses then." Adri waved his hands casually, not paying much attention. "Dover, do you want to bet?" "I bet he will give me the fruit." Doflamingo leaned back, lay on the sofa, and said slightly mockingly, "Are you so trusting? I don't think he can even get the fruit." "Really, who got the fruit before the auction?" "TCH, that was an accident." "In this case, I bet he will get the fruit and eat it." "Bet?" "A Bailey." "Make a deal." The two completed a bet on Bailey in this way. There is no need to bet too much between father and son, it was just for fun. This seed is only known to that person. According to the agreement between Adri and that person, he will come here when he gets the golden fruit, before 5 o'clock. The time passed by 1 minute and 1 second, and soon came to 55, without any sound outside. "Adri, it seems that you are going to lose." "Really?" "Waiting, until the last second, who knows?" Adri calmly picked up a cup of black tea. But Doflamingo smiled. Adri, don't afford to lose. Adrian, who had just picked up the black tea, paused, then put down the cup. Dover, to be honest, you shouldn't bet on me. Adri pointed his finger at the door, and saw the door open. Game over, Dover. It was DeSolo who pushed the door and entered. At this time, he was out of breath, holding a golden fruit in his hand. Doflamingo looked at each other with great interest, and couldn't help but glance at Adri, but Adri looked as he expected. Adri ignored Tesolo who came in, but looked at Doflamingo first. Dover, bet. Doflamingo unhappily took out a Bailey from his pocket and threw it over. DeSolo also limped to Adri's side at this time. I did it. DeSolo showed Adri the intact golden fruit, but Adri did not speak. Hey, I got the golden fruit. What about our agreement? DeSolo didn't hand over the golden fruit immediately. His eyes were crazy, but he protected him. Seeing that Adri didn't respond, he kept shouting. Let me see her. Adri made a silent movement, and DeSolo didn't dare to move at all. He forgot how terrifying the person in front of him was. The person could kill him at any time, silently. DeSolo suddenly knelt down, offering the golden fruit with both hands, crying and begging. Let me see her, just from afar. Adri took over the fruit and made a fuss about it. At this moment, even Doflamingo didn't understand what was going on. Seeing this scene, his heart suddenly stopped, and he was so depressed that he couldn't breathe. You get up first, there is no need for a man to kneel, it will look cowardly. DeSolo seemed to ignore it, and the whole thing seemed to be in a state of exhaustion, just murmured all the time. Let me see her, just see her once. Doflamingo couldn't help being curious, who was he going to meet? Make him so obsessed? Adri calmly replied. A woman he knew for months, years ago. Woman? Ha ha ha, a hero is saddened by a beauty. Well, Dover, it's better not to talk until you give me grandchildren. Women will only block my progress, so you still think about it. Dover, when you meet the right person, you'll regret saying that. Adri frowned slightly, and said to DeSolo, I don't think she would want to see someone kneeling on the ground. These words deeply hurt DeSolo and made him feel exhausted. Adri handed the golden fruit to DeSolo. What do you mean? DeSolo was puzzled. He felt that Adri might want to humiliate him, making him even more embarrassed, but Adri's next words seemed to make him feel that he had heard it wrong. Eat it. What did you say? Eat it, trust me. DeSolo looked up at Adri, and Adri looked down at him, nodding. DeSolo took the golden fruit. Hi, father. Doflamingo wants to stop it. Those who lose the bet should just watch obediently and don't talk. Adrian replied. Doflamingo could only retract his outstretched hand, and watched DeSolo take his first bite unwillingly. It was clearly unpalatable, and DeSolo's eyebrows were curled into a ball. Just one bite will do. Adri's reminder made DeSolo stop. He looked at himself in disbelief. He didn't feel any change. Adri took out a piece of gold and handed it to DeSolo. Melt it. Before DeSolo could react, the gold melted away, as if it was a part of his body and could be freely controlled. Now you can get up. Adri said flatly. DeSolo got up and asked. Why? DeSolo has an answer in his heart. Is it to make himself his subordinate? It's not impossible, as far as the current situation is concerned. It's not what you think in your heart. Adri looked at DeSolo, who looked at death like home, and denied, I just want you to meet that person with your head upright. Doflamingo on the side said that he didn't want to talk, and he didn't care what his father was doing. Instead, he was curious about how beautiful the woman this man was thinking of. DeSolo's eyes were full of disbelief, but seeing Adri's serious eyes, he might have to believe it too. This is, a side door next to it opened. Time goes back to a few hours ago. Just after the auction. Adri didn't go to participate in the battle for the golden fruit, just watched 1, 2, 3, and he didn't need to worry. Adri arrived at the cage where DeSolo was being held. DeSolo looked at the man who looked younger than him, who came in with a vigilant expression. Who are you? Me, it doesn't matter who I am, but I know who you are, Gilder De Solo, and this is your profile. Adri threw a document to De Solo, which recorded in detail De Solo from birth to the present. De Solo looked at the document, his face became more and more gloomy, but in an instant, his face softened, and his fingers kept rubbing a name. Adri directly pointed out, Stella, is it? De Solo said viciously. What do you know, a young master? Really, what do I know? Do you want to meet her? She has long been reduced to a Tianlongren, and her life and death are unknown. Adri didn't respond and just played a video for De Solo. De Solo went from contempt to surprise at the beginning. How is it possible? Do you remember the news about her? He was taken away. It's me. How could it not be? No, you must have lied to me. I have other videos here. No need. De Solo felt relaxed, as long as she was alive. De Solo's attitude was also good, and he asked cautiously. What do you want me to do? There must be a reason why the other party did this for no reason. But De Solo still asked. May I take the liberty to ask, is she doing well? Adri hesitated, nodded, well done, she's no longer a slave. That's fine. Do you want to see her? Promise to my deal. End of this chapter. Chapter 69 Is he his son? Chapter 69 Is he his son? A woman came in. She had long blonde hair and was wearing a blue dress, just like the one De Solo had seen in the human trafficking market for the first time. She is De Solo's first love, Stella. Stella entered the door and was immediately attracted by De Solo. She wanted to speak but walked up to Adri first and saluted respectfully. Master. Adri nodded and said. You should know this one, let's talk about it, Dover, come with me, let's go talk and give them some space. Adri got up, gave Stella a look, and asked her to take good care of it. Stella quickly thank you very much, Mr. Ardley. Doflamingo was reluctantly taken away by Adrila. As soon as the door closed, Stella couldn't help but hug De Solo directly. De Solo, I miss you so much, I thought you were also enslaved by the Tianlong people. De Solo was so excited that he trembled and quickly put his arms around Stella. Stella, my Stella, why are you here? Stella let go of De Solo. Although she was very reluctant, this was the first real embrace of their lovers. In the past, they were separated by an iron cage. I don't know why, the master made a deal with the Tianlong people and exchanged some slaves, including me, and we worked under the name of the master. And you, I remember when you shot the Tianlong people, how can you be so stupid to do such a stupid thing? Stella couldn't help but shed tears, and De Solo seemed at a loss, so he could only hug Stella tightly silently. Outside. Doflamingo was still dissatisfied. Adri, why did you ask me to come out too? Adrian ignored it, but leaned against the wall door in a way that didn't fit his image, listening to the movement inside. Adri. Shoo. Adri signaled Dover to be quiet. After confirming the situation inside, Adri nodded in satisfaction, looked at Doflamingo, and motioned for a walk together. Then he said. It took me a lot of effort. Doflamingo's head was full of black lines, and he said in a low voice, you didn't think so long ago, did you? Adri put on his white gloves and explained. I looked at the child's information, and found that there was a name that happened to be here, so I checked, and it was indeed the same person. The girl was a good girl, and I even regarded her as a righteous daughter. The two of them were originally a couple. Yes, I just matched up. But Doflamingo knew from Adri's happy expression that he just wanted a granddaughter or grandson anyway. Doflamingo was too lazy to talk, and could only sigh at most. When they entered the door again, the two held hands, and there was a sour smell of love. De Solo has already recovered his radiance, his face is rosy, who knows what happened. I have to say, the power of love is really strong. When the two saw Adri coming in, Stella hurriedly touched De Solo, and De Solo immediately reacted and bowed quickly. Master Adri. I want to work with you again. I want to marry Stella. De Solo said formally. Stella's face immediately turned red. Idiot, how can you say that? De Solo rubbed his head and asked suspiciously. Isn't that what we mean? Idiot, you can't say it so directly, Master Adrian, forgive me. Adri couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth when he saw the two of them flirting, and said nonchalantly, if you have nothing to do, come and sit down. We can just discuss these things. De Solo immediately responded cautiously, thank you, Chungquan. Doflamingo sat next to Adri, saying that he just quietly watched the other perform. Stella was unwilling to sit at first, and only wanted to stand aside, but after Adri said it was okay, she sat down cautiously. De Solo held Stella's hand tightly to comfort her. Adri crossed his hands and looked at the two seriously, especially when he gave De Solo a last look, which made De Solo startled. De Solo, may I ask if you really love Stella? Adri asked calmly, his eyes staring at De Solo like a pool of stagnant water, but this time De Solo did not back down, but stood up immediately and declared loudly. I really, really love Stella. Before that, she had heard what Stella said, and understood what kind of person Adri is. He knew that Adri took care of Stella, just like a father. Stella didn't refute at the moment but blushed very shyly, not daring to look at anyone. Adri took a deep look at De Solo, and after confirming that the other party was from the heart, Adri nodded with satisfaction, then turned to ask Stella, Stella, what about you? Stella replied seriously, and said with a serious face. My lord, De Solo was the person I believe in. He was the one who made me feel happy from the bottom of my heart. Adrian was also very satisfied with Stella's reply, so he waved his hand. Then, let's talk about your affairs. First of all, I decided to accept Stella as a foster daughter. Master, absolutely not, how can I bear your kindness? Father, you. Brother Doflamingo was shocked at this moment. Why did he suddenly have another younger sister? But Doflamingo also understands that the meanings of adopted daughter and biological daughter in their family are still different, and Adri's intentions are also very clear. Adri shook his head and signaled. Stella, it's okay, you deserve it. According to what I said before, De Solo, I also gave you the deal to face Stella and meet, then you work for me, which is what I expect. But you know, you are special, working the content is also extremely special, can you accept it? De Solo nodded immediately, as long as he could see Stella, he would do anything. Now he already felt like he was dreaming. He thought that the two of them would have no future in the future, but this time, it was different. Adri smiled. He watched De Solo's hand holding Stella tightly, and continued. So, one last thing, De Solo, Stella, I agree with your marriage. All of a sudden both Stella and De Solo breathed a sigh of relief. De Solo even jumped up happily and couldn't help kissing Stella, but he stopped immediately when he realized that there were still people here, and touched his head in embarrassment to express his wrong. Adri didn't mind, he just added there. It's just that, De Solo, Stella, you have to get along for a month before confirming whether you are married, how about it? Of course. The two said in unison that this is what they hoped for. Since this is the case, it's so determined. You get along for a while, De Solo. Tomorrow, you and my son will talk about business. Your son? De Solo was surprised, the person in front of him was obviously still very young. Stella hurriedly explained. The one sitting next to you is the young master. What, he is his son? Writing is not very good recently. End of this chapter. Chapter 70. Chapter 70. De Solo is on the run. He was the same as ever, except that lately he was in a good mood because he had a gold ring on his left ring finger. He is married, with Stella. In order to bid farewell to the miserable life together, the two tattooed a tattoo on their backs. He is a star, and Distra is the moon. These two tattoos will completely cover the hooves of Tian Longren. De Solo ran happily. Although he was embarrassed, he couldn't hide his smile. Both Baby 5 and Buffalo, who were chasing him, once thought that the other was insane. They were ordered by the young master to catch this little thief and bring him back. The young master said, to capture alive. Obviously, Doflamingo avenged his personal revenge, because who told De Solo to say the wrong thing? Doflamingo's order was to beat him to death, as long as he didn't die. To this end, they sent many cadres. But there are very few people who are actually just acting. Today happened to be the final arrest deadline. According to Doflamingo and Adri's plan, if DeSolo is not caught today, Doflamingo will pretend that he can't deal with him and cooperate with him. In fact, Doflamingo is already half of DeSolo's brother-in-law. But Doflamingo didn't want to admit it, and today he looked very bad, and he couldn't catch the other party even though he was fully dispatched, which made Doflamingo very embarrassed. But there is no way everything is agreed. Doflamingo supported his forehead at this moment, and he had given up hope for Baby 5 and Buffalo. It's just that from the outside world, Doflamingo was just chasing and killing a person, a thief. This is obviously even more embarrassing. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Baby 5 and Buffalo to come back with dejected expressions on their faces. Needless to say, they failed. Baby 5 drew circles with his feet, explaining. "Young master, I'm sorry, we failed again and let you down." "I'm sorry, young master, I don't know why, that little thief is very excited today, laughing while running, like a lunatic." Buffalo also explained. Yes, I don't know why." Baby 5 echoed, talking about the anomaly this time. As for why, would Doflamingo not know, not that someone is married yet. Doflamingo also went to the wedding in person and watched the ceremony from the sidelines. Not to mention how happy the kid was smiling. "I'm still mentioning that I'll take care of you tomorrow. It's hard to find people today." Doflamingo waved his hand to indicate that nothing happened, and asked them to deal with the wound first. Facing the excited DeSolo, injuries are common. If it fails now, it means that there is only one suitable path to choose. Doflamingo took out an invitation and asked them to find DeSolo tomorrow and give it to him. "Young master, why?" "Just give me a chance." Baby 5 said unwillingly. "But Buffalo is very self-aware, because we've failed several times." "That's not bad this time." Doflamingo said. "That's enough, Baby 5, just go if you're told." A few days later. All members of the Don Quixote family cadres gather. DeSolo will be negotiating. Doflamingo was sitting in front of the big sofa, with the cadres behind him, and everyone was staring at the person in front of them like a hungry wolf. The person in front of them was DeSolo, whom they hadn't been able to catch for several months. He was sitting on a small bench at the moment. Negotiate and deal. Start. On the other hand, Adri left after organizing the wedding and buying some items for her adoptive daughter. And who would have thought that Stella, as a maid, could soar into the sky, from a branch sparrow to a flying phoenix, but many people envied her. Adri returned home and enjoyed the family happiness. Watching Luo Shindy having a fight with Luo, and discussing some intellectual issues with Robin. Such peaceful days ended with Robin planning to leave. Robin is already very big, so it's understandable that she wants to go out to practice, and Adriatic will not stop him, but just asks people to prepare things in ships and watch Robin leave. But a month later Adri is now facing off against one. The other party is a middle-aged uncle who follows his own girl in this regard. Adri said that he would never tolerate it. Seeing the menacing Adri, the other side was a little helpless, touching the back of his head with a helpless expression. The opposite is tall, wearing a white suit vest and dark blue shirt, with a green eye patch on his forehead. "Hey, Sea King, I'm really not a wretched uncle who follows your daughter." The feeble explanation is hard to believe, but he knows that the King of Sea Transport should know his identity. Compared with this, he thinks it is more important that the King of Sea Transport actually adopted Robin. No wonder he couldn't find it. Adrian also seemed much calmer here. "Admiral, Akiji, I know you, although I am very grateful that you let Robin go before, but it's a bit too much for you to follow now. Compared to this, Sea King, it is not a good thing for you to hide criminals." "Ha? Criminal, who allowed you to say that, she is my dearest daughter." Number 1 on the side had already handed over a sword, and Adri took it, opening it and talking. But the sharpness of the sword cheered up Qingji. I don't know why, but in Akiji's perception, this is no less than the 21 skills of the big fast knife, but it is not one of the big fast knives. At this point, Akiji seemed a little flustered, and hurriedly stopped and said, "Hey, it's not necessary, I'm actually just protecting her secretly." "Secret protection? Who do you think can hurt her with my ability?" "Sea Transport King, I know your ability, but after all, Robin is offering a reward, and you will always be careless." Akiji vainly tried to convince Adriatic, because Adriatic had already drawn his sword, and was even wiping his sword. Akiji felt bad about Adriatic's gloomy face. Really? Then you are different, don't worry, I'm just going to discuss with you today. Adri's gloomy face is still very unconvincing. Shinji swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and could only take out his formation and prepare to fight. Father, please don't make things difficult for him. Robin ran out from the side, followed by No. And No. My lord, we can't stop Missy. Adri turned his head, immediately changed a gentle face, and asked. What's the matter, let's just discuss it. Robin said with a headache. Father, please don't be so irrational, the other party saved me after all. Adri spread his hands and said, then listen to you. Then he looked at Akiji with a smile on his face. Today's competition has been cancelled. Shinji felt as if he had seen a ghost. Obviously this guy had a bad face last second, but now he looked at him with a weird smile, creepy. Akiji scratched his head and said, let it go. It's just that Shinji's eyes are extremely erratic, and he doesn't dare to look at Robin directly. There is no way, the other's father is too fierce. Father, next time, you don't need to use it. You know, I can handle it. Okay, I understand, I won't come out to interfere next time. Adri continued with a serious face, then, if you really can't solve it, remember to notify me in time. Robin touched the necklace on his chest. Understood, don't worry, then I'll go by boat first, and it's agreed, you can do it. After Adri nodded to indicate that he understood, after watching Robin's boat leave, the smile on Adri's face disappeared immediately, and he looked coldly at Akiji. Hey, you promised, right? Akiji was a little unsure. I won't break my word. Hey, what a coincidence. Really? Adri raised the sword in his hand slightly, and gently landed on the ground. Just listen, there was a loud rumbling sound, and cracks quickly appeared on the spot, gradually getting bigger and bigger, and the ground began to shake violently, and even Akiji's center of gravity was a little unstable. In an instant, the original island was divided into two. Akiji silently looked at the crack in front of him and Adri, who walked away. Is this a warning? Far away, Robin looked at the island that was split in two on the other side, leaned on the railing and held his face with one hand and smiled lightly. End of this chapter. Chapter 71 Rossindi and Amp, #039, S business trip. Chapter 71 Rossindi's business trip. Recently, there is a legend of a swordsman circulating in the sea. It is said that this faceless swordsman cuts ships when he sees them, especially pirate ships. It is even said that a naval warship suffered an impact in the aftermath and overturned directly. But the warship was 5,000 meters away from the incident. Recently, many pirates have complained a lot, because the other party simply cut the ship and did nothing else. It was even heard that the other party cut several huge mountains in a row, resulting in sword marks on the edge of the Red Earth continent, and the Holy Land also suffered a slight shock when it spread out. Not long ago, that swordsman chopped off the Millennium Ice again, directly splitting the huge glacier into two. Some people speculate that this mysterious swordsman is Hawkeye Mihawk, who is known as the world's #1 swordsman. But it was quickly rejected. Mihawk's eagle eye logo and black knife symbol are too conspicuous. If it were him, it would have been confirmed long ago. Some people also speculated that it was red hair. Anyway, there are different opinions, and no one can confirm it. They only know that the other party is a sharp sword studded with gemstones. The feeling of being daunting at a glance is something that the pirates can't forget for a long time. Many pirates even felt hopeless because of this, and quit this rough sea one after another. Others are left with indelible scars. They still remember that when the other party lightly waved the sword in his hand, the black sword light enveloped them like endless darkness, and they couldn't sleep until it was dark. But soon after, this swordsman disappeared. No one knew what he looked like, no one knew what his name was, everything became a mystery. Only the flattened mountains, the mottled sword marks on the edge of the Red Earth continent and the glacier that was split in half proved the existence of this swordsman. The turmoil of the swordsman has subsided like this, but his legend still remains in the world, and there are still many swordsmen fighting for his goal. Among them, some sword masters wanted to challenge him. For example, Mihawk, who is looking for each other to no avail. Just as many people were obsessed with the disappearance of the great swordsman, Luo Shidi also took Luo away from home, because he is now the general manager and has many things to do, such as this business trip, to finalize the plan of the Seven Waters. As for the business in the capital, Luo Shidi will personally inspect several shipbuilding companies in the capital of Seven Waters. The capital of Seven Waters is also a famous scenic spot. Luo Shindi took Luo with him as a tourist, by the way. After all, Luo was almost moldy when he stayed at home. So Rosindi dragged some nerd out of his infirmary and onto the boat. In this regard, Luo said that he is very dry. He obviously still has a lot to study. But once in a while it's fine. On the other hand, Luo Shindi felt that Luo too seldom communicated with his peers, and he would become unable to communicate. It is also good to be able to make friends in Seven Waters this time. The two of them went to the capital of Seven Waters in an ordinary merchant ship. The nature of this time was similar to a private visit on a microservice. Luo Shidi flipped through the documents in his hand, paused in one of them, and silently wrote it down in his heart. Luo Zhe was blowing the sea breeze boredly, just hoping that no one would bother him. From a distance, the capital of Seven Waters looks more like a large fountain. Soon the mediocre father and son went ashore. As soon as they landed, Rosindi's overall temperament attracted the attention of many people, because it was not a formal meeting, and it was mainly for inspection. Rosindi's clothes were more leisurely. Rosindi also successfully persuaded Luo to wear father-son outfits with him. "Well, are you this kid's brother?" A pretty young lady couldn't help but approach her. Luo Renjun couldn't help but bumped into the dazed Rosindi. "I'm calling you, Nissan." Luo emphasized the latter two words. No, sorry, I am the father of this child." "I see, I'm so sorry." "Fine." The woman walked away. Luo is a little dissatisfied with Rosindi's behavior, and he has assisted, and Luoxindi deserves to be single. Rosindi also pulled Luo aside. "You bastard, what are you talking about, just now?" "I'm helping you." "How old are you and don't know what to do?" My name is Luo, listen up, I don't need a partner, I just have you as my son." Rosindi bent down and said. Luo sighed helplessly. "Hey, no wonder Grandpa Adri is too lazy to talk about it." "Ha? Father hasn't found a partner yet. Why am I in such a hurry? Besides, I have an older brother." "That's it." Luo has given up persuasion, and Luo Shidi is a bit straightforward. If Luo Shidi hadn't explained the reason, Luo would have thought it was because of his adopted son. The reason why the woman approached Rosindi was because the carnival was coming and she wanted to find a dance partner. As a matter of fact, Luo Shindi came here just in time, just to play with Luo. They rented a small two-seater blue for 1,000 berry, a common means of sea transportation here. Soon after admiring the scenery, they came to their primary target this time, the Carrera Company. Among the many shipbuilding companies at present, Rosindi is the most optimistic one. The boss of this company is called Bingshan, and Luo Nandi hopes that the other party will not be too cold, otherwise it will be very difficult to negotiate. They wandered to Dock 1 first. Someone came out to receive them. Luo first asked curiously, pointing outside. "Uncle, do those trains travel by sea?" "Boy, do you mean the sea train? It looks like you are from outside, right?" Luo froze for a moment, then nodded. "It was done by our boss master and the boss's younger brother." "How about it? It's amazing." Luo nodded thoughtfully and praised, "Very spectacular." The other party was also very happy, and asked Rosindi, "Are the two guests here to book a boat?" "This is the dock, so we can take a look at it, but it's best to go to the boss to discuss it." Rosindi nodded and signaled. "Yeah, we're going to take a look first, see which one is generally good, we have big business." "Oh, big business, then you have to visit us carefully. In my opinion, our company is ranked second in the capital of Seven Waters, and no one dares to be the first." The boatman in front of the two had a big beard and was shirtless, praising his industry without exaggeration. This boatman should be one of the foremen, after all, many people are listening to him. At this time, a yellow-haired man wearing ski glasses and smoking a cigar came up, saw them, and came over and reprimanded. "Hey! Falstone, how can you let a child in? He's still an outsider." "Bowley, don't be like this all the time, these two may be big customers." Is this chapter a little bit off? End of this chapter. Chapter 72. Chapter 72. This is Bali, the foreman of the rigging and mast position, and I'm the foreman of the flag, cork, and sail tailors positions. The foreman named Tellstone introduced. "Tellstone, don't be fooled, it will be a disaster if it is sent by another factory." "Don't worry, they don't look like people sent by other factories. Also, this is our first time here." Luo also followed suit. Bully made a sound, stopped talking, and walked away. Suddenly, Luo Shindi and Luo felt uncomfortable at the same time, as if they were being watched by someone. The whole thing was extremely strange, and the feeling disappeared immediately, but they were still captured by them. "Uncle, what are those guys doing?" Luo asked. As Luo pointed out, it was two people. One of them has a long square nose, and a pigeon rests on the shoulder of the other. Falstone stepped in and returned. "Oh, they are also boat workers, but they have only been here for a year, but they work very hard." Luo still wanted to say something, but Luo Shidi patted him on the shoulder to signal him not to say anything. Although Luo felt strange, he still shut up. In this way, they finished visiting the dock, and when it was time for lunch, Falstone recommended them to eat the unique water meat here. On the way to eat, Luo asked curiously, "Why stop me? Those two people feel a little familiar to me." Rosindi said earnestly, "Luo, we don't need to worry about other things. Those things have nothing to do with us. We are here for business. Although those two people are not simple, as long as they don't hinder us, we don't need to expose them. It won't do us any good. Instead, you will make enemies." Luo didn't speak, and Rosindi's tone slowed down a lot. "Luo, your grandfather once taught me that we are businessmen, and you should understand some truths. You must know that the responsibility of the entire Shanghai Chamber of Commerce is on me." Luo nodded. "Luo, you have to know that as the young master of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, you also have to take on certain responsibilities, especially your face outside. There are some things that need to be considered for the Chamber of Commerce." Luo Shindi felt that what he said was a bit heavy, so he smiled to make Luo happy. After today, having scouted out currently qualified shipbuilding companies and attending the carnival, it's time to get down to business. After on-the-spot investigations and private visits during this period, Rosindi finally determined the partner of his cooperation, Carrera Company. Rosinindi came to the address of Carrera Company, found the secretary in charge, and handed over his business card. "Here is my business card. I want to see your boss." The secretary pushed up his glasses and said, "If you're just building ships, I can get the foreman to talk to you." Rosindi pointed to the business card and said, "I suggest you read the content of the business card first." The other party was a little displeased, and looked at the business card in his hand. "Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. President? Please wait a moment." The secretary bowed and apologized and left immediately. Soon, the female secretary came out. "Dear Mr. Rosindi, Boss Bingshan is already waiting for you too." Luo Shindi led Luo and followed the female secretary to a room. "Welcome, Rosindi General Assembly." The man sitting inside immediately got up to greet him and stretched out his hand. Rosindi shook hands with him. "Long awaited, Boss Bingshan." Bingshan invited the two to sit down. Iceberg has light purple hair and a beard. The whole person looks pretty good, at least in Rosindi's senses. "This is my new secretary, Khalifa. Please forgive me for not being very sensible." Khalifa bowed deeply. Rosindi indicated that nothing happened, and also introduced. "This is my only son, Lo." "Oh? I didn't expect that at such a young age, you would not only be successful in career, but also in love." Bingshan praised. Rosindi didn't correct it, and Luo didn't bother to explain. "Then, next, I will get to the point." Rosindi straightened up. Bingshan also said that he was listening carefully. This time we are here to talk about cooperation, great cooperation. You mainly mean? The shipping vessel of the Star Sea Chamber of Commerce. Bing Shan gasped. He knew how huge the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce was, and when the other party approached him, he thought at first that he just wanted to build a private one, but now it doesn't seem to be the case. Bing Shan said that he needs to think about it. Ross Indy readily accepted. Under the current situation of the Carrera Company, it is a bit risky to accept this large order, but Bing Shan feels that Ross Indy must have come prepared and does not make unrealistic demands. Khalifa. Exist. You take the young master out to play. Luo, you go out to play for a while, and then it's adults' time. Anyone with a discerning eye knows that they will clear the field next. Although Khalifa was a little bit reluctant in her heart, she did so. Luo also walked out very sensibly. The two who were swept out together looked at each other. Would you like something to drink? Luo didn't answer but took a deep look at Khalifa and walked away. Khalifa gave him a feeling very close to the two he saw before. In the office, Your Excellency, you can speak clearly now. We can help you. Do not know what you mean. You know how many companies are here, and you know how powerful it would be if you put them together. Bing Shan was silent. It's not that he hadn't thought about it. Your conditions. No one will kindly help you without reason, Bing Shan understands, let alone such a big help. Originally, he thought it would take him 8 years to do it, but with the help of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, he could take it one step closer, and he was confident that it would be completed within 4 years. Ross Indy knocked on the handle of the chair and spoke slowly but exclusively for us. I can't do that. When Bing Shan heard the conditions, he stood up and refused. Don't worry, listen to me. I mean, in my business field, we don't care if other small institutions or individuals. Bing Shan hesitated, pinching his chin with his hands, looking out the window, without saying a word. Ross Indy went on to add. It can help you connect with the world government, but it's none of our business whether it succeeds or not. Make a deal. This is a deal with no harm at all. Bing Shan has no reason to refuse, the temptation is too great. The two signed the contract on the spot. As a meeting gift, you will receive million Baileys in cash after a while. Then, we can now customize a boat for you for free. The two looked at each other and reached a consensus. Make a deal. Luo Xindi went out to call Shanglua, and Bing Shan went out to call Khalifa. The four of them came to Doc No. Together. I'm hesitant to write a little carnival theater. End of this chapter. Chapter 73 Adri and Amp, #039, as Scars. Chapter 73 Adri's Scars on a private island, on a sunny beach, two parasols stand. Doflamingo and Adri came here for a vacation, which is a rare father and son time. Do you want to call some beauties, Adri, or I always feel that there is something missing? Adri opened the mouth with sunglasses and said. You don't mind me. Then number one brought a few beauties. The other party was very enthusiastic, and squeezed into the seat as soon as he came up. Doflamingo doesn't mind beautiful women, but it's all just for fun. If you mind, it should be that Adri, the father, feels embarrassed. But Adri himself is unmarried. In a certain sense, he has the same senses as Doflamingo. These women, Adri does not take them seriously. Listening to Xiang Yu's soft calling, Doflamingo still enjoyed it very much. Generally speaking, no one would refuse the feeling of hugging from left to right. Adri only glanced at the small movements of a certain bold beauty, and Adri did not resist physical contact. Doflamingo even teased. It seems that someone has a good relationship with women. It is true that there is already a beautiful woman leaning on Adri's chest, because on the beach, Adri and Doflamingo only wore beach shorts and a thin shirt. Seeing Adri, the beauty didn't say anything, but was even bolder, putting her arms around Adri's neck. Facing such an enthusiastic young lady, Doflamingo couldn't help but chuckle. It's hard to see such a beautiful picture of his father, and Doflamingo can't help but click his tongue, but in fact, Doflamingo is not much better, and the level of beauty is similar. If Ross Indy saw this scene, he would definitely rush over, throw a bunch of documents into the sky and question. Do you enjoy taking me? Although I am not sure if the innocent Rosindi can bear it, but he must complete the task to enjoy together, who told him that he is now the general meeting. Besides, the conflict between the two brothers has not been resolved yet, and Adri feels that Luo may have to stab him back in order to feel a little more comfortable. I only hope that when Luo takes a certain King Lufei to fight Dover in the future, he can be lighter. Fortunately, Doflamingo didn't know about Luffy's existence. If he knew that his last great fortune was lost by a guy who was younger than him and only went to sea for 2 years, he would lose to him. Doflamingo would probably be furious, but first of all, Doflamingo would never believe it. I just hope that when the time comes, there will be no psychological shadows from anger, otherwise, Adri will have to find a psychiatrist. But the sky was not beautiful, and the weather suddenly turned dark, which made Doflamingo's mood drop all of a sudden. He dismissed the beauties on his body and the people around him. Adri also saw something was wrong and made everyone go away. Go to a hot spring. Adrian spoke softly. Doflamingo wanted to say no. Let's talk alone. Adri said the words to death, and Doflamingo agreed after a second thought. On this island, there is a natural hot spring, which can effectively eliminate fatigue, even relieve some dark injuries, activate muscles and bones, strengthen muscles and promote body circulation, which is the top grade. This was also the first time that father and son took a bath together. Doflamingo was a little surprised when he saw Adri coming out with his upper body bare. Adri's figure is well proportioned, but what doesn't match it is the scars on his body. Adri has 5 scars on his body. These several scars are well arranged, but the ferocious appearance makes people feel terrible. It is not something ordinary weapons can do to form this pair of scars. Not to mention Adrian. Outsiders don't know, as a son, will he not know how tough Adri is? It is not ordinary people who can hurt him. These 5 scars are similar in shape and seem to be from the same person. It's the same wound that can hurt Adri 5 times. Doflamingo asked in a deep voice, "Who hurt you?" The other party was unforgivable. Doflamingo valued his family very much, and he dared to hurt his respected father, which made Doflamingo a little furious. But Adri just smiled, lowered his head, stroked a scar that was so hideous that it was scary to look at now, and joked. It's just being tricked by someone. If you don't agree with it, it will pay the price. Doflamingo's complexion also improved a lot. I didn't expect that, Adri, you would be teased by others. Human? You're not a human. Could it be a Neptune? No, don't guess Dover. The next thing is to go to the hot spring. Adri stepped into the hot spring first. Doflamingo knew that Adri didn't want to say more, so he didn't want to ask more, but went into the water like Adri, leaning against the rock. Doflamingo felt the steaming mist, and his mood improved a lot. The comfortable feeling also made him relax. Doflamingo looked up at the sky. Now, Adrian, no, father. Aren't you angry? I call your name every time. Doflamingo sighed. Adrian shook his head slightly. He actually knew that Doflamingo respected him as his father outside, but it was just his inner stubbornness that made him seldom call Adri's father on weekdays. No, when I called your son, didn't you refute? Adri looked at each other calmly. Doflamingo glanced his head aside, and laughed at himself. What a silly question. The two had nothing to say for a long time, and finally Doflamingo seemed ready to say something, and spoke slowly. Now, father, I kind of hate you sometimes. And then? Aren't you curious? What should I be curious about? Hey, sure enough, father, you've always been like this. You know, I've wondered countless times why you didn't show up earlier. Doflamingo paused, because then my mother she can be saved, she died of illness. Doflamingo's words were a little heavy. Isn't it funny? You obviously gave me a warm home, but I resent you for not coming earlier. Adri's expression is still the same. Normal. Is this your answer? Doflamingo was thinking. His glasses were covered with white fog, making it difficult to see his eyes clearly. Father, to be honest, why did you choose us in the first place? Doflamingo asked sincerely like a child looking for an answer. Is it premeditated or just a coincidence? Doflamingo is no longer the child he used to be, but no matter what the answer is, it can't change that Adri has indeed given him a warm enough home. Doflamingo looked forward to Adri's answer. But Adri never spoke, as if he was frozen there. Doflamingo was not disappointed either. The answer itself was not important, but to satisfy his curiosity. But Adri said, as if answering the question, "I was attracted by the breath of your soul, Dover." Doflamingo laughed, mocking ruthlessly. "You, Adri, I didn't expect that you still believe in this, soul? Dover, there are soul fruits, you know. Then are you this type of ability user? Dover, I'm not afraid of seawater." This is an answer in disguise. Doflamingo looked at the foggy environment and didn't ask other questions. He felt that he was really stupid today, asking so many stupid questions, obviously, as long as there is one answer, that is. It is enough for Adri to be his father. If I write crookedly later, please beat me hard. I will listen carefully. End of this chapter. Chapter 74. Chapter Recall. Chapter 74. Señor Peak, a cadre of the Don Quixote family, a person with the ability of water fruits. But he has someone he likes, and it's absurd that he himself is the one his wife hates, the pirate. Therefore, he can only lie that he is a bank employee, from acquaintance, to confirming the relationship, and finally entering the palace of marriage. He can kill a life without mercy, but he will always be a gentle gentleman in front of his wife. He didn't tell the family about his marriage. People in the family may or may not know, but they don't tell, because everything is fine as long as they can take responsibility. In 1510 of the Hyuan calendar, after his marriage, he and his wife, Lucian, ushered in the crystallization of their love, a son named Gimlet. But in a heavy rain a few days later, a guest was ushered in, a guest who took shelter from the rain. My dear, there is a young man who shelters from the rain. Lucian heard the doorbell and went to open the door, saying so. Zigner was a little restless holding Gimlet in his arms, and he could only respond hastily when he heard Lucian's words. Just as he was finally coaxing the child, he saw the so-called young man in Lucian's mouth, and the cigarette in his mouth fell unconsciously down. Because this person is none other than Adri. At this time, Adri was still negotiating with Lucian, talking happily. "Ma'am, I'm not a young man, but I have a grandson." "Ah, I can't tell, sorry." There was a turmoil in Senior's heart, and he was stunned for a moment, just because the other party's identity was too special. He was the father of his young master, and for a while, Senior didn't know what to say. Lucian looked at her husband strangely. "What's the matter, husband, do you know each other?" Adri was very calm, and seemed not surprised to see Zignal, but greeted. "Yo, Senior. Honey, you know, I'm a bank clerk." Senior said, but in fact he said it to Adri. As for the next choice, it belongs to Adri, whether to accompany him to pretend or expose it. Adri naturally stepped forward to tease Gimlet, then turned to Lucian and said, "Ma'am, my name is Adri, this is the first time we meet, please take care of me. I am Senior's boss at the bank, and we can be regarded as acquaintances." Senior looked at Adrian in shock, nodded in acquiescence. Lucian was a little surprised, and said quickly, "Ah, sir, that's really negligent, our Senior has been taken care of by you." Senior also sighed softly. "I really appreciate your care." Afterwards, Senior dismissed Lucian with a business talk. After confirming that Lucian had left, Senior got up respectfully and saluted. "I've seen adults. This is a necessary etiquette." When meeting alone, Adri found a chair and sat down, looked at Senior who got up, and asked, "What are you going to do?" Senior also sat down, lowered his head, still thinking. "Senior, you know, everything will be troublesome if you have a child." Senior's eyes dimmed a lot. Adrian continued. "What do you think? Dover will definitely go to the New World in the future. What will the mother and daughter do then?" Senior seemed to have thought of something, then got up, knelt down slowly, put his head directly on the ground, and said solemnly, "Sir, I can accept any punishment, but I beg you to let them go." Adri looked down at Senior and remained silent for a long time, making it impossible to see through his heart. He spoke. "Senior, what will happen if you choose between the family and this family?" Senior didn't move, and finally said with difficulty, Both sides are family members, it's hard to choose. He said this sentence already implied the tendency to offend Adri, and he did not express his allegiance immediately. This will make it difficult for people to believe him in the future. Doflamingo may not even reuse him in the future. But he couldn't lie to himself, couldn't lie about it. He waited for Adri's drop of responsibility. Get up. Adrian's tone seemed a little tired. Senior was a little unbelievable, but he followed the instructions. I saw Adri holding his forehead and said softly, "You are now a registered employee of our Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, and the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce has the right to support your family." Senior quickly thanked him. But Adri blocked. "But I will tell Dover about this. After all, you belong to him. You can continue to do your business in the future. I will let someone take care of your side. Don't forget, they are very important to you." Adri's words also made Senior understand that it was because of his previous answer that he got this return. Adri told Senior to invite his wife over. Lucian came in with a fruit plate and said gently, "Is the matter over? I took some fruit." Adri unceremoniously ate a small piece of fruit, smiled and said, "Yes, it's over, ma'am." Then Adri took out a phone bug and handed it over. "This is owned by the family members of some special employees in our bank. Because Senior has some special positions and often needs to travel on business, he will be very busy. Then, if you have anything, you can use this phone bug. We will send professionals are here to help you." Is this like this? It turned out to be so optimized. That's right, the latest one, given Senior's excellent work. Senior didn't say a word, he could only express his gratitude silently. Not long after, the rain stopped outside, and Adri left. Lucian hugged little Gimlet and watched him off. Adri looked at Gimlet's little face, smiled and left. Doflamingo over there. Dover, you should know, right? Fufurofer, Adri, I will not stop my family from looking for his love, as long as he can take care of himself, don't affect the operation here, and don't let those people become weak points. Yes, Nadover, there are certain things you ought to learn. A stormy night. Lucian was a little nervous because her husband was out, but Gimlet had a fever and had to go to the doctor right away. She dialed her husband's phone but no one answered her. Her heart sank a little, and she comforted the crying Gimlet. She suddenly remembered the phone bug that Senior's boss had handed over to her. She hurriedly searched for it and took it. After picking up the phone bug, I dialed out, only to hear it say, "Hello, family members of Shanghai Bank, what do you need?" Dedicated only to the most tender tough guy, the one-of-a-kind Sionil Peak. Sionir actually has a prototype, and those who are interested can search for Bob Carey. End of this chapter. Chapter 75 Are You My Father? Chapter 75 Are You My Father? Time goes back to the present, another May is coming, and Adri is gone. Doflamingo knew that Adri would disappear for a while on a special day in May. But this is nothing, almost every month for a few days I don't know where Adri is. I sometimes disappear for a day or two or a week. Doflamingo also knows now that in the past several times his father went to secretly attend the tea party of the ant. When he first got involved in the dark world, he discovered that the Sea King turned out to be his father, mainly because Adri never mentioned it. Before again, Doflamingo thought that he had already shown his father almost. I'm afraid only number one will know. But in fact, apart from no, even no. And no. Knew where Adri went. Adri went to Sky Island. Time sped up again. It will soon roll over to 1512 in the Haiyuan calendar. The Kaweihai system was successfully launched. Doflamingo became one of them. And also in this year, Doflamingo successfully seized the throne of Dressrosa. He ruined the previous king, and it was logical for him. Standing on the high ground of the king, overlooking the entire kingdom, Doflamingo smiled with satisfaction, and looked at the people who overlooked the kingdom like himself. They were his family members, and the plans of the Don Quixote family would also be affected by it. This enthronement was more than half a success. Because of his original status, many people were afraid, and they had already compromised, which made Doflamingo very happy. So far, he is the legal successor, the one who exercised his rights in the name of so-called justice. That's great. At this moment of more than half success, he really hopes to share it with his father and let him see his own country. Doflamingo moved into Dressrosa's palace. He said it was a palace, but it was more like a holiday villa. Anyone above the cadre of the Don Quixote family could live there. Back in his room, Adri had been waiting for a long time. Doflamingo didn't ask how Adri got in. It was very easy for Adri to get in. Adrian was sitting by the bed at the moment, reading a book, and when he saw Doflamingo come in, he closed the book. Doflamingo came to the window, breathed the fresh air, and looked into the distance. How about it, Adri, my kingdom? Adrian also looked out the window, from which he could see the town below. Very well, Dover, a job well done this time. Pfufferfurfer, let me just say, now that I have the title of Shichibukai and the title of King of Dressrosa, I can start planning. No, you're still a little short. Doflamingo turned his head to look at Adri in doubt. In his opinion, everything is ready. Where? You are still too soft-hearted, Dover. It is very important to kill them all. Are you talking about those people? It's okay. Let's just watch it. Isn't it interesting? Interesting? Dover, what I taught you before doesn't seem too deep. Don't worry, Father, I'll remember it all. I'm only doing it for the person with the fruit ability. For her? That's fine, but remember to control it well. After all, I'm older. If I were younger, if I did it, I would beautify myself first, not to show my handle, and then take advantage of it. She was constantly brainwashing when she was young, cutting off her relatives and all thoughts, leaving her alone and becoming her only support. Adri told extremely terrifying things in extremely calm words. After hearing such things, Flamingo couldn't help but tense in his heart. But Doflamingo, who played under Adrian's eyes and ears in the past, seemed to have thought of something interesting. I heard that the king has a new granddaughter. That's not good. You can adopt her and keep her for now, so the other one won't mess around. It's a good idea. I'll remember it, Adri. In this way, the father and son discussed the life direction of several people in such a few scribbled sentences. The father and son just sat sideways on the windowsill and stared at the night sky together. A few days later, the former king died suddenly. The grown-up former Princess Violet, who was locked in the prison, was deeply saddened after hearing the news of her death, and frantically questioned Doflamingo in front of her. Why? This is different from what we agreed. We agreed, as long as I help you, you will let the father go. Violet is a person with the ability to stare at the fruit, and it is precisely this that can see through people's inner thoughts, which makes Doflamingo value it, but this time it is different from the agreement. Doflamingo stood in front of the opponent, but spread his hands to express helplessness. No way, that's a natural reason. It's fine if you don't want to join us, it's just that. Doflamingo lifted Violet's chin and approached his face. But, if you don't have to report it later. Oh, revenge. Violet struggled desperately to avoid it, as if her mind had been seen through, and finally, under pressure, she was forced to agree, because at this moment, Doflamingo threatened the lives of the people in the kingdom. Later, Doflamingo led a group of cadres to a remote place. This is where Violet's sister used to live in seclusion. Scarlet had already died in the riot. And her hidden husband, Cyrus, was also turned into a toy soldier by Doflamingo's subordinate Granos through the fruit ability. When the crowd came, only the too young daughter, Rebecca, was in the house. At this time, Rebecca had lost her memory of her father, and her mother had also passed away. In her impression, she was just living with a toy soldier. Rebecca is at her prime at 6 years old. Seeing the menacing people, Rebecca was terrified, and went out tremblingly, poking her head. Doflamingo showed a smile on his face, lowered his body, stretched his arms, and attacked Rebecca. Rebecca closed her eyes in fear, but what greeted her was a warm embrace. Good, my child. Rebecca's instinct told her to resist, but she couldn't break free no matter what. But in the end Rebecca didn't resist. For a 6-year-old child, how much she longed for this embrace. She hadn't felt such a warm embrace for a long time. She cried, and the tears flowed out unsatisfactorily, and asked uncertainly. Excuse me, are you my father? With a smile on the corner of Doflamingo's mouth, he said softly, yes. Afterwards, Doflamingo picked up Rebecca. Under the watchful eyes of many members, it announced. From now on, she will be your little lady. The Don Quixote family can be said to be mobilized at this moment. Everyone knelt on one knee and said, I've seen Miss. Rebecca held Doflamingo's neck in a daze, and asked, Who are they? Doflamingo paused for a moment, and with a gentle smile on his face, he looked at everyone half kneeling, and said softly, They are family. I hope everyone will not forget that the protagonist is never a good person. End of this chapter. Chapter 76 Father, Let Go. Chapter 76 Father, Let Go. The signing is successful. Ah, Master Adri is here. Baby 5 shouted happily. It is indeed Master Adri. Buffalo also cheered. Only Granos and Monet were stunned. Why had they never heard of this name? The two of them are actually sisters, and Granos stopped growing because of eating the fruit of childlike fun. They were rescued by Doflamingo a year ago. Although they seem to have heard the name vaguely, they are very uncertain. Now I heard Baby 5 and Buffalo calling his lord again, and I was even more curious. But the others on the side were different. Especially Diamanti, Pika and Toripol, they have habitually stood up. Seeing everyone around him stand up, especially the cadres, Granos and Monet also stood up inexplicably. Everyone looked at a long corridor in unison, and there were footsteps coming from there. Granu and Monet's hearts also adjusted. Grana looked up and asked, Who is Master Adrian? On the side, Gladius explained softly. That man is the young master's father. Young master's father? Yes. Gladius clearly knew that when he first met this lord, he discovered the clue. He thought it was just an ordinary middle-aged man, but when he saw the expressions of Toribol and those who followed Doflamingo very early, he realized that things were not that simple. Young even looks younger than him, but in fact he is very old, which is completely invisible. Gladius was not stupid. He discovered very keenly that the young master's father was not a simple person, and he even learned of his identity later, the king of sea transport. As the footsteps got closer, Monet didn't see the old man he imagined, but a very calm but unusually young man. The other party ignored the cadres behind and took the lead in hugging Baby 5. The little guy has grown up so much. Do you miss me? Yeah, I really miss Lord Adrian. But everyone is not surprised. Pika explained Master Adri still likes children as always. Like kids, Monet looked at the originally indifferent face with a smile and surprise. Baby 5, remember what I told you? Make a request to me. Well, I'm working hard. I already know I'm needed. Adri has recently been correcting Baby 5's misconceptions, hoping that when he grows up, he will stop marrying others in a daze. Baby 5 thought for a while, thought it, Mr. Adri, please lift me up. Okay, no problem. Adri raised Baby 5 high all of a sudden, making the other party laugh, and then slowly put it down. Adri looked at Buffalo on the side again, patted the other side, and praised, it looks really strong. I have eaten a lot recently. Buffalo said proudly. Of course, I also work hard every day. Granos, who has a childlike innocence, looks a little unbalanced when she sees her friends being praised one by one. Adri saw the pouting little guy and turned around. There is another little guy here, come, let me hug you. Saying that, Adri stretched out his hand to hug Granatang. But the faces of the people around were all pale, and they hurriedly tried to stop it. Master Adri, no. Sugar will turn anyone it touches into a doll. Regardless of strength. Gladius stopped immediately. But Adri had already picked up Grana, and Grana had already touched Audie, but Adri did not become a doll as everyone imagined. Everyone was shocked. You must know that Granos is a childish fruit-capable person. As long as you touch it, you will definitely become a doll. This will surprise even Granos, because even the most powerful people can't touch him, so no living person will be able to touch him and remain intact. Adri didn't tell everyone why, but no one dared to ask. Diamanti asked a little worriedly. Master Adrian, is there any limit to the ability of Granos' childlike fruit? No, I'm just special. It's just that people who are too strong will have a bad feeling before touching sugar, so it is still difficult for people with strong combat power to touch sugar. Unless the opponent is incapacitated. Adrian spoke slowly. But Monet was already in deep shock and couldn't extricate himself. Grana didn't care too much, she was very happy that someone could finally hug her. Grana hugged Adri all at once. I like Master Adri the most. Grana enjoyed the feeling of being hugged very much. She couldn't remember when was the last time, it seemed like it was before eating the fruit. At this time, Doflamingo also came. First, he was a little surprised to see Adri, and then saw the sugar in Adri's arms, and Doflamingo immediately dodged. Father, put it down. The speed was so fast that none of the cadres could react. Adri comforted. It's all right, Dover. But why didn't you become a toy? Doflamingo also found out that Adrian hadn't turned into a toy, so he felt relieved all of a sudden, but immediately asked nervously. Why didn't you become a toy? Adri can only repeat what he said just now. Doflamingo also calmed down. When he saw Adri hugging the sugar, Doflamingo was as frightened as a bird. When he saw that scene, his heart really went to his throat. He was too scared to forget. He didn't want his past memories to be only those bastard memories before the age of 10. He also worries about losing the memory of his father. Now that everything is going well, Doflamingo has calmed down and sat down on the sofa, but the cold sweat on his forehead has not yet been wiped off. Afterwards, Doflamingo and Adri started talking again. At this moment, Adrian is holding Delinger, who has learned to walk with a small school bag on his back. Dover. Have you contacted the business over there? Doflamingo took a sip of the wine. That's right, it's just a question of labor now. Labor? I remember Dressrosa has a group of little people? That's right, it's just that it's not easy to want them to work for me. What are you going to do? I've already inquired about it. Their princess has eaten the healing fruit. It's a good thing. Really? If you need them, you want to control their princess and use the ability, by the way? That's right, how's it going? I think it's better to weave a net for them, a net with good dreams, which is more efficient in all aspects. That's right, I get it. It's just that, on my business side, I might be a little bit aggrieved. It's a good thing. It will sharpen your spirit and let you know that there is a sky beyond the sky, and there are people beyond others, just like the Overlord's color. Although there are few people who have it, the sum of these people is not a small number. Lao Tzu is now assigned writer. If you have a lot of monthly tickets, I will give you 5 more chapters without taking a breath. End of this chapter. Chapter 77 Rebecca, let Ina. Chapter 77 Rebecca, let Ina. After Rebecca was carried away by Doflamingo, Cyrus also came back. He found the empty room and frantically searched for it, but ultimately failed. Rebecca wouldn't know anything either. She was kept in a secret place by Doflamingo for several years to avoid Violet's recognition, although they were not sure if Violet knew Rebecca, but now, Rebecca no longer, it was Rebecca, not Ledina. Ledina loved her new name and loved it, but she preferred to wrap her arms around her father's neck. Doflamingo always had a smile on his lips when he held her. Father, why should I stay here? Ledina looked at Doflamingo with her innocent face. Doflamingo gently stroked the opponent's little head and said, because my father is the king, if someone finds Ledina, they will hurt you. I'm protecting you, and you'll be fine after a year. Ledina nodded her head obediently, and said, I see, I didn't expect my father to be a king, it's amazing. Ledina looked at Doflamingo with adoring eyes. Doflamingo picked it up and put it on his lap, and said, and no one can be trusted except the family from now on, remember, Ledina? Remember, father, Ledina likes her father the most. Ledina's pink hair slipped into Doflamingo's arms. Doflamingo looked at the villain in his arms, his expression softened a lot, and he patted Ledina on the back. Grandpa will come tomorrow. Grandpa Adri is coming? Ledina raised her head happily and looked at Doflamingo, her eyes sparkled. She likes Grandpa best, and her father, but Grandpa will bring some delicious food for Ledina, and Father will bring something fun, and she likes both. Ledina stretched herself in Doflamingo's arms, and Doflamingo asked softly, "Are you going to take a nap?" Ledina was indeed a little tired. Her small eyes began to open and close, and the small eyes began to blur. She stretched out her hands and said coquettishly, "Father carried me to the crib." Doflamingo gently picked up Ledina and placed her gently on the small bed. "Okay, go to sleep, Ledina." Ledina answered vaguely, "Ah." Then gradually fell asleep. Doflamingo stayed by the bed all the time, gently rocking the crib until Ledina was fully asleep, covered her with the quilt, and finally left on tiptoe, turning off the lights quietly. In another lounge, Adri was already waiting with his legs crossed. Seeing Doflamingo approaching on tiptoe and closing the door, Adrian smiled knowingly. Doflamingo was not surprised when he saw Adri, but just asked casually, "Why are you here today?" After speaking, Doflamingo took out a bottle of beer from the refrigerator and opened it, and sat across from Adri. "I came here today when I'm free. How are you doing? How are you getting along, that child?" Doflamingo took a sip of beer and said casually, "That's it, I'm just using her." Adri didn't show an expression of disbelief, but said with regret, "I also hoped that she would become a granddaughter, and I brought the necklace here." "Cut, I won't soften my heart." "Really, but she is still young, everything can be done again. Her use value is far less than that." "Okay then, but this necklace is for your safekeeping." Adri threw a box over regardless of 21. But Doflamingo took it, but he was a little reluctant, saying, "This kind of thing can't be used. Maybe in the future?" Doflamingo accepted it and put it away. In the afternoon, Ledina rubbed her sleepy eyes and saw that her father was already waiting by the bed, but she was just thinking about something, and didn't realize that Ledina was already awake. "Father, what are you thinking?" Ledina shook Doflamingo's arm. Doflamingo also reacted at this time. "Oh, Ledina, you're awake." "Father, what are you thinking?" "No, it's nothing, I just wanted to tell you that Grandpa came early and is already waiting for you." Hearing this, Retina immediately regained her spirits and jumped off the bed. Doflamingo looked at Retina's joyful appearance happily, and laughed, "Slow down, my little one." The two soon came to the living room, and Ledina saw Adri at a glance, rushed forward and slammed into Adri's arms. Doflamingo glanced at Adri at the door. "Dover, take Retina out for a while when you have time." "I see." A year later, on a cruise ship with the flag of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. A pink-haired little girl jumped happily on the deck, and a blue light shone on her chest. Not far away, a man with a height of 3 meters was looking at the girl, and after a while, he waved and shouted, "Ledina, it's time to eat." The little girl turned her head and replied, "Here we come, father." This time, Doflamingo took Ledina to go home. Although this trip was not the first time, Ledina was still very happy. She was already thinking of Aunt Robin, Uncle Rossi, and Brother Luo very much. Along the way, Doflamingo heard Ledina say it countless times. Although Doflamingo was a little bored, he would not show it on his face, and always looked calm. It was more than a year before Flamingo brought Ledina back to Dressrosa, letting everyone know that they still had a princess. When Violet knew about this, she was shocked at first, but she had no right to see him. The days just passed. Luo has already embarked on his journey. Small theater on what Doflamingo did when he got the necklace. Doflamingo sat there looking at the small box in his hand, which contained the necklace that Adri gave him. Doflamingo mechanically opened, and closed. She put it away until she knew that Ledina had woken up from her sleep. He held the box and kept dangling in front of Ledina intentionally or unintentionally. But Ledina was very obedient and didn't ask, as if she didn't pay attention. Doflamingo opened the box again and placed it in the most conspicuous place at home. Ledina just didn't look at it for a while. Doflamingo put it in front of the dining table again. Whenever Ledina eats, the box is directly opposite. As long as Ledina opens her mouth, Doflamingo kept thinking about it, but Ledina still didn't pay attention to it. The poor pendant was famous for a while, but it was not seen by this little ancestor. Doflamingo even took out his own dark red pendant that was usually placed in his collar, and dangled it in front of Ledina every day, just to win her attention. As long as Latina opened her mouth, the light blue pendant in this box will be hers. Inspiration is a bit dry. Thanks to the ancestor of the sky for the 1500-point reward. Thanks to Chow Muercha for the 700-point reward. Thanks to Dolly the sheep for the 200-point reward. Thanks for the 100-point reward from the assistant of Hong Kong and Black China. End of this chapter. Chapter 78 Robin and Amp, hashtag 039, S Journey. Chapter 78 Robin's Journey. No, no. And no. Are cleaning up a den, and there are no other survivors except the three of them. Almost ready, let's get started. Okay, come on. Then let's begin. Boom. The huge explosion completely destroyed the den. This is already the 5th time they have performed this type of mission, and this group of people is also the 5th batch of people who were faked and died accidentally. As for why, but it all failed what an adult thought. In the past few years when Ms. Robin was away, she joined many organizations in order to study historical texts, but in the end, the members of the organizations wanted to control Robin. Naturally, Robin escaped intact, but Adri ordered no, and to clean up the garbage, those bastards who tried to catch their daughter. It is normal to use each other, but it is not a good thing to want unilateral control, which is also angering Adri's bottom line. In a sense, Adri doesn't interfere with Robin's journey, and ordinary people can't hurt Robin, but this does not prevent Adri from avenging a little revenge, so he randomly selected a few Robin wherever he was. Several groups that wanted to control Robin retaliated. Although someone with a double standard subconsciously ignored several organizations that his daughter occasionally betrayed, those organizations were also quite miserable. Robin has a hard time trusting people outside of his own family, so Adri's asshole teaching is also to be credited for that. After cleaning up the rubbish, no, no. And no. We'll go to the next one. There is no way that the frequency of my young lady has been a bit high recently, which is really a bit of a waste of organization. I don't know which organization betrayed her or she betrayed in the future. In the eyes of his family, Robin always remembers Adri's words, if you betray the other party before others betray you, then the other party will not be able to betray you. What a reasonable sentence. But Robin kept it in mind. Changing tissues is as easy as changing clothes. Because her status is too popular. Robin's life was pretty bad when she was a child. She had no impression of her biological father, and her mother left when she was 2 years old. Because of the ability of devil fruit, he was disliked by his peers. Living in someone else's house and doing housework, I've heard people say for as long as I can remember, as long as you learn to do housework, your mother will come back. Robin worked hard, but in fact, she didn't wait. After the encounter with the mother, the brief reunion becomes the final parting. Little Robin has always hoped that someone can hold her hand and take her shopping, and she will no longer be called a wild child without parents. But in the end, her wish came true, and she met Adri in the days of wandering. That might be a day that exhausted all her luck. She got a good father in exchange. Her father, who accompanies her shopping, will hold her hand and let her sit on her neck, as if announcing to the world that she is his daughter. Robin is very moved. Later, he had a father, 2 older brothers, nephews and nieces, and she also had a new family, a warm home. Of course she knew about her father venting his anger for her, and she also knew that her father didn't want her to know. But there is no way, the organization she has participated in have a 50% mortality rate, and all of them are accidental deaths. It seemed that her title as the son of the devil was further confirmed, but so what, his father is a devil himself, and it is understandable that he is the son of a devil, anyway, as long as her father doesn't dislike it. So what about the devil? She has a home. Robin didn't care about this matter as much as usual, and even a little bit of joy floated around. It is precisely because of Adri's actions that Robin can still go home when he is harming other organizations in his daily life, and occasionally read a book for leisure. Now, she joined another organization, and finally met a rare person who was not afraid of her organization's killer. The other party said that they are very strong, and they are ruthless people who will not be confused by those superstitions. They don't believe that Robin's physique will bring anything, and they take the initiative to throw an olive branch to Robin. This organization is also a special one that Robin has met. Their boss is a young man, similar to Robin. I thought the boss would be older. Robin joked, and the people around became nervous. But the man sitting on the sofa didn't care, but admired. I also thought that the one who could understand ancient characters would be an old woman, but I didn't expect it to be a beautiful woman. As he said that, the other party took out a rose from nowhere and handed it over. Robin readily accepted, with a smile on his face. The boss looked at each other obsessively, and said softly, "Beautiful rose is just like you, dear." "My name is Bram Van Ballen, call me what you want." Robin looked at the young man in front of him, then at the rose in his hand, and said with great interest, "So, boss, is this considered sexual harassment?" "No, it's just pure admiration for you, Nicole Robin." "Well, it's really funny to compare me to a rose." Bram Van Polen, one of the leaders of Shanghai's underground criminal organization. The current head of the Van Ballen family. They are the mafia. Bram's father was killed by him himself, because his father actually intended to give the position of big boss to his elder brother, so Bram Van Ballen could only send the two of them away together. This 20-year-old young man's pursuit of rights can be described as extreme, but it is also because he has a dream of a pirate. The current underground gang in Shanghai already has a big head. Bram Van Ballen knows that his family will not have many in the end. In terms of living space, only transformation is the best choice. And it was also for this that he sent his ignorant brother and father to the west, and it was precisely for this reason that he recruited Robin. Bram Van Ballen actually looks very kind, but anyone who knows him knows that he is not as simple as he appears on the surface. Just like when he gave Robin a rose, he just knew that Robin was not a simple woman. Just like a rose, its flower stem was full of thorns, and gloves were needed to hold this rose. Robin also naturally understood the general idea, and just smiled back. There are too many people who want to control themselves, not bad for these few. Not to mention the young Bram Van Polen, many old foxes thought about monopolizing themselves before, but in the end they either died in a sea of flames or died without a burial. But Bram Van Ballen is confident, but he doesn't fully want to master it. He and Robin are just using each other. To put it nicely, it is mutual benefit and win-win. The eyes of the two quickly reached a consensus. Robin sat on the couch across from Bram Van Ballen. The two smiled at each other. "Well then, welcome, beauty. Please take care of me, my current boss. There is a book friend group, and readers who have good opinions can join the group. Button number 9923901118 urgently looking for someone's opinion." End of this chapter. Chapter 79 Two Fathers Conversation. Chapter Adri takes action. Chapter 79 A conversation between two fathers. Adri shot. See Garden Calendar 1517. Poru porp porp, porp porp porp. Card wipe. A hearty voice came. "Grandpa Adri, it's me, Ace." "Oh, Ace. What's the matter? What can I do for you?" "I'm out to sea." "Really? Congratulations, come and see me when you have time." "Of course, it's just that Grandpa Adri has not been able to do it recently. It seems that I will be offered a reward." Ace's voice filled with joy. "Well, then be careful. When Garp sees it, his blood pressure may rise, and he may personally arrest you." "Don't worry, I'm fine, Grandpa won't do that." Ace's heartless laughter came from the opposite side. "Oh, by the way, there is a female Navy named Iska who is chasing after us." Ace said it casually, and added, "A nice guy." "That's good. I don't know if he has a good impression of our little Ace." Adrian teased gently. "Where is it, Grandpa Adri? Don't talk nonsense." Ace looked a little taken aback. Adri did not continue to tease, but someone on the other side shouted, "Ace, come here." "Grandpa Adri, stop talking, my Deus has called me." "Hey, when will I belong to your family?" "Oh, Deus, don't do this, whoever we are." The phone bug hung up. Spades Pirates. "Hey. Ace, who are you talking to?" The first crew member of the Spade pirate ship, a pirate crew member, a blue-haired boy who likes to wear a mask, Maskdus, spoke. Ace scratched his head, wondering. "Didn't I tell you?" Joe's goes up with a fist. "Idiot, you didn't mention it again." "Oh, Okay, that's Grandpa Adri. An old man? That's not true. Grandpa Adri not only looks very young, but also very powerful. He can fight with the stinky old man on an equal footing. Smelly old man? Oh, it's Garp. Ace explained while picking his nose. Oh, it's Garp, what? Garp. A naval hero? Well, yes. What? The stinky old man the captain is talking about is Garp. Nanny? Really or not? Captain, don't scare me. Everyone in the Spades Pirates was attracted by surprise. Wallace was very curious, and asked Ace. Captain, who is the other Grandpa Adri? It can't be some big pirate, right? Yes, Captain, and you actually know the Navy. Yenlu asked as he swung his two-jointed hands. Adri here. Cool la, Adri, who are you talking to? It's rare to see you so soft. In front of Adri at this moment is the white beard known as the strongest man in the world, Edward Newgate. Adrian smiled. Just a junior. But the tenderness in the eyes was seen by Whitebeard. At this moment, the deck of the Moby Dick was full of people, but everyone kept quiet, because the person sitting in front of their father was a figure that even his father was somewhat polite. The two drank like this. Chew, that's boring. Adri, what's the matter? Do you want my sons to be silenced? Come on, boys. All of a sudden, the atmosphere of the banquet rose. Adrian shook his head speechlessly. You have too many children. So what? I am the father of each of them. I prefer to be quiet, so there are only a few children. Child? Adri, you are immoral. I didn't even know you had a child. Let me see you some other day? Forget it, how many of them are dangerous, and I don't want to make it difficult for them to go on the next journey because of their identities. That's it, Adri, are you really? Don't talk about me, you old bastard, we are all doing our best for our children. That's true. After all, there is no father who would not think of his children well. Whitebeard smiled, looking at everyone present. They were their family members. Many people were happy when they heard the conversation between the two. As expected, Dad is Dad. The atmosphere of the banquet also increased, and Marco stepped forward to urge, Dad, drink less, you won't be able to do this in a few years. Marco put his hands on his waist and helped his forehead helplessly. As a ship doctor, it would be very annoying if his father didn't listen to him. Saki came out of the kitchen with delicious food, sought Adri, and asked kindly. Who is this little brother? I haven't seen it before. Because Sage had been in the kitchen all the time, he didn't know that Adri was his father's generation. Sage? Marco tried to stop it, but it was over. For a moment, everyone's time seemed to freeze, and they all looked over with complicated eyes. One is that they look down on this little boy from the bottom of their hearts, but Dad respects him very much. Second, they are also very curious about Adri's identity. Third, they also want to see each other's strength. Whitebeard took a sip of wine, glanced at Adri, and was not angry when he saw Adri, but he was still calm, startled, and hurriedly said, Adri, for my sake, don't worry about it, I'm here to apologize to you. What? How dare you ask Dad to apologize? Who does he think he is? That is. Captain Sarge obviously did nothing wrong. Little white face, I have long been upset. Everyone complained about this, but Whitebeard's face darkened. Adrian still looked like he had nothing to do with him. You idiot sons. You can talk about the dignity of the strong. Whitebeard stood up and solemnly declared. This action indeed bluffed many people, but some of them were still unconvinced and whispered there. Sachi hurriedly wanted to smooth things over, and he was just casually teasing how this happened. But Sachi's explanation made more people feel that their captain Sachi was wronged, and their complaints became more intense. Whitebeard is powerless, because these people are his own children, and no matter what they say, they can't change their inner thoughts. Whitebeard can only say softly, Adri, take it easy. Adri didn't respond. When the dignity of a strong man is questioned, it is necessary to prove it with strength. This is the fastest way. Adri stood up slowly, and around him, a circle of black flames also emerged spontaneously. It made everyone feel cold, and a lot of noise went down. In an instant, the entire flame surrounded Adri's whole body, covering him in all directions. Looking at the inexplicable scene, everyone thought they were devil fruit abilities, even the former Whitebeard believed in it. "There's a gutsy get up, it's just a show." Then he rushed towards Adri. But he stopped moving before he started. Everyone was surprised when they saw that ball of flame stretched out his hand, and a handful of flames floated out, pointing at the person who made the hand, and the person who made the hand froze. Flame, his body didn't dare to move, his instinct told him that he couldn't escape, his body went on strike in fear. Many people got up one after another, wanting to fight, but they were all the same as the first person, they couldn't move when they got up together. Because in contrast, a corresponding amount of flames floated out of Adri's hands. The people who got up were all sweating, because their bodies were frozen. They knew that they were afraid in their hearts, and they froze in place like stone statues. Everyone looked at this strange phenomenon, but they were also surprised why these people didn't move. Finally someone couldn't help it. Also a captain, Vista, a swordsman with 2 swords. When he drew out his double blades and took the first step, he found that the fighting spirit he was proud of collapsed at this moment. His fighting consciousness encountered the flame that appeared again in Adri, and he flinched instantly without a trace of hesitation. He didn't even give him the courage to go up and try. Taking a step is already the limit, and now he even feels that it is difficult to breathe. Yes, that pinch of slow-moving flames was slowly approaching like his urging talisman, making him tremble. His eyes widened violently, as if seeing something terrifying. It was a smiling face. He saw it in the black flame, it was a figure. He turned around, it was a devilish smile, that figure was still making a silent gesture towards him. Vista seemed to have given up thinking at this moment, and his whole body stopped moving. In just a few seconds, he felt that he had experienced a few years. The passage of time was like a huge hourglass stuck on it forever, not pouring out. Seeing that Vista was also frozen, all the members were on alert, but whenever they stood up, a few black flames would burst out of Adri's hands. The group of people seemed to be bound by invisible silk threads, dragged away by endless hands stained with mud, kissed by the mother of the black goat, and dragged into the endless abyss. They stood like statues in place. Marco and Sax were already stunned, and the rest of them calmed down. Only then did Whitebeard speak slowly, with a hint of deepness in his eyes. He looked at Adri, who was standing in the distance. "He's not a young guy. He's a contemporary of mine. You know, it's a good thing he gave up being a Navy back then, otherwise he would have been like the naval hero garb." "What, at the same age as Dad? How old should he be?" "It's incredible." Saki didn't expect his eyesight to be so poor. The other party's disguise, maybe not. The other party was at best a little dangerous in the original performance, which has exceeded expectations. Sach wanted to save his companion, but unfortunately was stopped by Whitebeard. "It's useless even for you, Sage. It seems that this old guy hasn't shot for a long time, and his hands are a little itchy." Afterwards, Whitebeard slammed his weapon on the deck violently, and the use of the shaking fruit ability instantly brought many people back to consciousness. Adri's flame form also cancelled on its own, as if nothing had happened, and continued to sit back. But those people who were originally immobilized were finally able to move at this moment. Vista sat slumped on the ground, his 2 swords had already fallen, and he had no strength left. He was pretty good. Some people fainted and lost consciousness at the moment of relief, and only a few were still gasping for breath, and beads of sweat rolled down their faces. Whitebeard sat down and continued to drink. "Adri, it seems that your bones are itching." "Indeed, I'm getting old, so I need to move more next time." Adri left shortly thereafter. But his figure was remembered by a big black man in the corner of the banquet. He knew that when Adrian used his ability, Whitebeard was afraid. Whitebeard never fears someone who is weaker than him. And this person hiding in the corner has also deeply felt the coercion brought by Adri, which is a feeling that he has never experienced before. Feels stronger than his dad. End of this chapter. Chapter 80 Set Sail. Chapter 80 Sets Sail. See Garden Calendar 1520. A boy broke out of the barrel. A pirate hunter who was about to be executed was rescued. A young liar swears an oath and boards a ship. A teenager with blonde hair and curly eyebrows kneels to thank a thief girl crying with tears in a straw hat. The plot kicks off above them as a hidden eye watching their movements. Adri has been staying at home recently, looking at the screen in front of him, very satisfied. Chasing One Piece again is a good choice. It's a one-person screening room, and there's no one there except Adrian. Near Adri there is a board with pictures of some people on it. Among them, the photo of a black-haired man is circled with a red pen, and another man who looks thin is marked with a cross. In the dark, Adri watched the group of people heading to Rogue Town in the picture. Adri stretched, turned off the screen, took his feather coat from the hanger on the side, put it on, and finally left and closed the door. East China Sea above the sky, there is a black figure moving fast. If you don't look carefully, you won't notice this black figure at all. In the end, the black shadow landed like a meteor, pointing directly at the sea surface, and stopped suddenly when the distance was only a few centimeters. If there are people in this sea area, they will be surprised to find that this group of black shadows is suspended above the sea surface. The opponent's feet did not touch the sea water at all, and stopped in midair like a ghost. This man is Adri. I saw that Adri's feet didn't move half a minute, but they really moved on their own like a suspended train, from slow at the beginning to so fast that people couldn't see the face or even the body shape at all. It was as if a ferocious Neptune was moving, with huge waves setting off behind him, forcing the calm sea to become choppy. Finally found the boat that Adri wanted to find on the sea. The bow is a black cat's head. Adrian slowed down. The big thing is not good. My eyes actually saw someone moving on the sea. How can that be? That's right, you must be dazzled. I'll go, really. Come on. Come and see. Should we attack? Idiot, of course the boat should be brought in first. That is to say, there are so many of us, and the other party is well dressed at first glance. Maybe he is a nobleman somewhere? That's a big deal. Do you want to inform the captain? Boom! Which bastard fired the gun? The shell on the sea sank heavily into the sea. But in a blink of an eye. It's not good, that person is gone. It's not my fault, I feel too weird. Ha! It's all your fault, that man. Ah! Help! I saw the person who should have been sunk by the shell suddenly appear on the deck at this moment, and in an instant, a gust of air rushed past. Everyone present foamed at the mouth and fell down heavily, without breathing. Adri looked at all this indifferently, and turned his eyes to a door. There was a noise there. As the door opened, there was a black-haired man wearing glasses. His eyes were horrified, but he immediately calmed down and remained calm. There are still wounds on his body, especially on his forehead, which is bandaged. He habitually pushed down the glasses with the palm of his hand, and his right hand wore a black claw glove, with a blade attached to each finger. Hey, who are you? The other party actually killed so many of his subordinates silently. Although these people were weak in his eyes, under the silent circumstances, even it's hard to do it yourself. His complexion is not very good. Hey, you come to my place. Adrian said calmly. But for the inexplicable words, the man with glasses did not respond, but calmly shouted. Do you know who I am? I am Captain Crow, the captain of this group of pirates. In fact, Crow was knocked out by a guy wearing a straw hat not long ago, and was dragged back by his crew. Obviously, he planned to annex other people's property for 3 years but was terminated by those guys. He was in an extremely bad mood, but his reason told him that this elegantly dressed man in front of him was not a good person. I know you, Chloe, I'm here to find you. You know me, I have already offered a reward. No, you don't need money. That's right, then to make you behave, try this. I saw Adri walk to the edge of the boat, facing the sea with a pat-down motion. Crow didn't understand what it meant, then there was a loud noise, the ship began to shake violently, thousands of meters of water gushed out and flew straight into the sky. The loud noise forced Crow to cover his ears, but under the rain, it was the man an indifferent figure. The other party's wind is calm, and the other party's condescending look seems to be able to despise everyone's eyes. This scene left a deep mark in Crow's heart. Adri waved and said, Come here, I believe you are a sensible person, I can give you wealth, status, and rights, everything you want. Under the extremely shocking sound of U equals and Adri's bewitching voice, Crow gradually lost consciousness. His eyelids were heavy, and the water splashes falling from the sky made him feel comfortable, and his whole body seemed to be intoxicated. In reality, Crow has fallen into a coma, but he is still standing, saluting Adri respectfully. Adri signaled that it was okay, and then stepped forward to look at Crow in front of him. This character is very miserable. He obviously has a super high IQ but only covets a little money from a wealthy businessman and chooses the most stable way to waste his own 3 years. In fact, in terms of softness, it is better to marry the other party. It's the best. Obviously the strength is not bad, but was hit by Luffy. If someone is here at this moment, they will be frightened by Adri's eyes. They are pure black eyes that look like an abyss, and once they meet, they will make people want to stop. But who knows? The only person present was Crow with his eyes closed. If other people saw it, Adri wouldn't mind sending him to another world. Now it's time to choose whether to keep Claude's personality or capture the soul of an obedient guy. The former, which may be full of uncertainties but will increase the fun, may be a good choice, but it will also be a bold gamble. The latter attempt will derive a new personality from him, and he will obey Adrian's orders, but his intelligence may be reduced, which will run counter to the cunning that Adrian saw in Crow at the beginning. Now that I have figured out how to do it, I need to strengthen it a little bit. After all, the strength of Crow in the East China Sea is a bit embarrassing in the Great Route. Then there was a black airflow that spread out from Adri as the center, and soon surrounded the entire ship. The original corpses on the boat gradually turned into black thick water and headed toward Crow as the center. Ceremony about to start. Then the gears of the plot will turn too. A new chapter will also open. Thanks to Chow Mawercha for the 100-point reward. Thank you for the 100-point reward of Sinew's bone soup. Thanks to Dolly the sheep for the 100-point reward. End of this chapter.